The cafeteria smells like burnt espresso and waffle sugar, a weird combo that always sticks to my hair. We're crammed into the corner booth beneath the flickering "Welcome" banner left from last week's pep rally. Our table is a sprawl of open notebooks and pen caps and Belly's neon pink highlighter bleeding through half her psych notes. Orca is tearing her muffin into crumbs like the muffin insulted her. "That's them," Belly murmurs, elbow nudging my ribs. "Pack parade, 12 o'clock. I look up over the lip of my mug just in time to see them drift in, 5 of them together, easy and silent. Not swaggering, more arranged. Like the room is a map and they've already memorized the safest corridors. People glance, then look away too quick. The tall one in a charcoal hoodie lifts his chin, scanning for something I can't see, and they fan around 2 tables near the windows like they've rehearsed it. And then there's him. The leader wears black like it's a private joke. Dark jeans, dark jacket, a threadbare tee that clings to his chest, the kind of body that stays relaxed because it knows it can win. He doesn't sit immediately. He stands with one hand on the chair back, attention circling the room, until his eyes land on me. It's just a look, a slip of focus, but it shivers down my spine like a cold finger drawn up the vertebrae. He doesn't smirk. He doesn't wink. He simply notices me with the concentration of someone studying a puzzle piece to figure out where it fits. "Okay, no, that's illegal," Orca says, following my stare. "Who stares like that at 10 a.m.? Call campus security." I pull my gaze back to the safety of cream swirling in my coffee and pretend my pulse hasn't just lost its rhythm. He's just looking. "Ben," Belly says. "That's his name. I heard from Sasha in bio, Ben something. He tutored her last semester and she got an A and also a breakup because apparently he's a hurricane." "Hurricanes are seasonal," Orca says. "That guy is year-round bad idea." I try to laugh and fail because across the room he finally sits. His friends fold around him, still and alert, and somehow the space between us feels measured. He says something that moves the boys into motion, phones out, quick murmurs, a glance at the clock. A group decision in seconds. The timing is precise enough to make my skin prickle. "Why are they so synced?" Belly whispers. "It's creepy." I don't have an answer, but I feel it too. The way they shift in a pattern, the way the air around them seems threaded. The bell bleats. The cafeteria erupts into backpack zippers and chair legs scraping. I collect my things, but when I stand, my sight jumps back to Ben without permission. That's when he does it. Half a smile, barely there, the curve of his mouth acknowledging something between us I didn't mean to offer. My cheeks warm. I spin toward the exit like it never happened. "Girl," Orca says as we push through the doors into the hall, "if you get set on fire, I'm not fetching the extinguisher. I'll throw a muffin at you and run." "You'll save me," I tell her. "You always do." We split for classes. Econ drags. My professor's voice is a warm drone that fails to drown the echo of that look. By the time the hour ends, I've doodled a dozen lopsided crescent moons along the margins of my notes, and I don't know why. After lunch, we meet in the library. The table by the big windows is ours, claimed freshman year during finals week and defended with snacks ever since. Orca is deep in a criminology article about motive clusters. Belly is building a color-coded study schedule so ambitious it needs its own zip code. I try to be good. I try to read chapter 9. Instead, my eyes wander across the glass to the quad. Late sunlight on grass, frisbees arcing, a breeze snatching someone's hat. Normal. Comfortable. Mine. And then a shadow crosses the window, followed by another. A handful of Ben's friends stride by in pairs, cutting toward the science building. Their pace is brisk, identical. My stomach tilts. "Bathroom," I lie, sliding out of my chair. I'm not sure what I think I'm doing. I track their route at a distance, using the crowd as cover. The science building doors hush open. I catch a glimpse of them talking low in the stairwell, phones glowing. The tall one in the hoodie texts with both thumbs, then pockets his phone and listens, head tilted as if he's hearing something none of us can. There's a hum in the fluorescent lights that makes my teeth hurt. "Okay, stalker," Orca's voice says behind me. I jump so hard I smack my shoulder on the wall. "What are you?" I was. "Bathroom, sure." She flicks her eyes toward the stairwell, unimpressed. I give it 2 hours before you learn his social security number. We retreat together, guilt hot on my neck. Back at the table, Belly's brows knit. Where did you go? I thought maybe you'd been kidnapped by the statistics department. I stopped pretending. Belly, do you ever notice how they walk, like together? Cheer teams walk together too, Belly says, uncapping her highlighter. But this is creepier, I'll grant that. After dinner, we're studying late, Orca says. If the weirdos pull an all-nighter mission and you insist on accidentally crossing paths, we're doing it when I've had coffee. Deal, I say, though I know it isn't about crossing paths. It's about a sensation I can't shake, a gravity I didn't agree to. Night peels over campus fast, the sky a navy lid. We bunker down at our library table until the staff flick the lights twice to shoo us. Outside, the breath of the air is cold and damp, the kind that climbs through denim to find your knees. We walk the long way around the quad because the short path is under construction, and also because rumor says the long path is haunted. It's probably just the landscaping lights. Probably. Our sneakers whisper on the sidewalk. Belly tells a story about her chemistry lab partner setting ethanol on fire while trying to impress a girl. Orca supplies sound effects. Laughter puffs into the air and disappears. We turn the corner that edges the rugby field, and that's when we see it. Orange light flickers in the tree line beyond the practice hill, too warm to be the field lamps. The scent finds us first, wood smoke, singed sweet like resin. A hush swallows our chatter so completely that my ears ring with the absence of it. Orca's hand catches my sleeve. Belly's footsteps falter. Bonfire, Belly whispers. On a Tuesday, Orca mutters. Who even has that kind of stamina? We climb the rise as quietly as nerves allow. The trees make a black fringe against the sky. I crouch at the top and the girls fold in on either side of me. Down the slope in a shallow dip, there's a fire, contained, intentional, with stacked logs and a circle stamped in the dirt. Figures move around it. Not many. 6, 7. The light steals their faces and gives them bone and shadow instead. One steps closer to the flames and the light slides up a jaw I recognize. Ben. He looks older by firelight, sharper, something in him unbuttoned. He's speaking without raising his voice, and yet everyone hears. The circle listens, their heads bent with a focus that vibrates. It reaches us in a silent wave that tightens the skin at the back of my neck. Belly grips my wrist. We're too close, I know it, but I can't make my legs work. Ben lifts his chin like he's scenting the wind. The movement is so animal, so fluid, that my brain doesn't have a word for it. Heat crawls through me. He gestures with 2 fingers and the group splits, taking positions, backs to the fire, watching the trees, waiting. A growl folds out of the darkness. I don't know if the sound is real. It shudders the ground anyway. Orca's grip on me becomes a clamp. My breath goes shallow, loud in my skull. Something moves beyond the ring of light, quick and heavy. The fire hisses like it tastes rain. Then a pair of eyes floats up in the black gold, not reflecting but emitting. I feel it separate my heartbeat into single beats. Another set to the right. A third. The forest has pupils. Ben doesn't flinch. He bares his teeth, but it isn't a smile, it's a promise. He raises his hand, and like a mirrored photograph, his people raise theirs. Fingertips glint. Nails, claws, no, that's not. The figure on Ben's left shudders, shoulders bulging against his jacket sleeves. A sound like bone popping unspools through the night. His throat bows, tendons rope tight, and then the jacket seams give with a harsh rip. Fur spills, thick and dark, over a shape that used to be a boy. Not a costume, not a trick of light. Transformation, obscene and sacred in the same breath. I slap a hand over my mouth. Orca presses her forehead to my shoulder like she's praying to my sweater. Belly's nails dig crescents into my skin. Run, Orca mouths, almost soundless. Alice, please. I can't make myself. Down there, the circle expands, bodies blurring, bones rearranging, a chorus of low snarls braiding into one terrible harmony. Ben doesn't change. He stays man, for now, dark and precise, a conductor at his orchestra of monsters. The golden eyes blink, the fire snaps, and somewhere in the trees, something big decides whether to come closer. Ben tilts his head. His gaze lifts up the hill, past the flames, past the moving shadows, past all logic, and finds mine. I don't know if he can see me. I don't know if I want him to, but his pupils widen, and awareness cuts across his face like moonlight from behind a cloud. He lifts 2 fingers, come. My legs unlock all at once. I grab the girls. We go, sliding on dead leaves, catching roots, bashing our shins, breath sawing in our throats. We don't scream. Screaming would feel like an announcement. We run until the trees thin and the field lights touch us in a cold wash and the campus buildings bloom up like a civilization we dreamed. We keep running into the dorm and past the quiet hours sign and down the hall that smells like ramen and nail polish and inside our room with the crooked poster of the lunar phases. I slam the door and throw the chain even though it's a fire code violation. We stand there, listening, like the dark might have followed us home. Belly speaks first, a torn whisper. Tell me we imagined it. Orca's hands shake. I don't imagine ripped shoulders. I don't imagine fur. I sink onto my bed and stare at my palms, still feeling the heat of the bonfire. My heart has its own pulse now, a wolfish tempo, quick and knowing. I think of Ben's eyes locking to mine, as if he felt me across distance like a magnet feels metal. I don't think we imagined anything, I say. I think. Footsteps pass in the hall. Laughter. Ordinary, blessedly ordinary. The clock above the desk winks from 11:42 to 11:43 p.m., the minute changing like it matters. It does. We breathe with it. One more minute inside a world that just cracked open. We don't tell anyone, Orca says, voice low. Not until we know what we saw. Tomorrow we figure it out. Tonight we. We all look at the window at the same time, as if the night pressed its face there. Nothing is there. Just our reflections, 3 girls with wide eyes and secrets stitched to their tongues. We lock everything, Orca finishes, and we sleep in shifts. Belly nods, already crossing to the desk to wedge a chair beneath the knob. I swallow, throat dry, and listen as the minute changes again. 11:44. I whisper to the room, to the moon poster, to the part of me that leaned toward his gesture like a tide. I saw you, I say, and you saw me. The clock clicks to 11:45. We don't sleep. Not yet. 12:07. Orca's on guard with the world's tiniest flashlight, clicking it on and off because the beam is pathetic. Belly has both earbuds in, pretending to listen to a meditation app while doom-scrolling forums about campus myths. I lie awake staring at the hairline crack in the ceiling that runs from the smoke detector to the curtain rod. Every whisper in the hallway bangs like a threat. 12:22 a.m. Belly gasps. Both of us jerk upright. It's a raccoon video, she says, sheepish. He's washing grapes. Orca groans into her pillow. You're dead to me. 12:39. A floorboard pops. The building breathes. The heater coughs. Someone 2 rooms down laughs and then hiccups. The ordinary noises are mercy. They keep the night from being only the woods and the fire and bones rearranging. 12:53, I text myself notes I can't say out loud. Golden eyes weren't reflected light. Scent of smoke plus pine sap. Ben's hand signal, copy by all. Sound of bones, wet like I stop. My thumbs shake. 1:17 a.m. My phone vibrates. Unknown number. My stomach drops so hard my knees feel it. Orca snaps up, instantly alert. What? I show her the screen. One text. You shouldn't watch bonfires alone. No name, no emoji, no punctuation except the period, which somehow makes it worse. I don't breathe for 4 whole heartbeats. I type, who is this? And delete it. I type wrong number, delete it. My thumb hovers over the call button like that's not insane. Belly yanks the phone and airplanes it. Nope, she says, savage and soft. We are not doing that at 1 a.m. We'll do that at like noon, in a church, with holy water. We trade shifts on the floor between the beds with a blanket doubled over like armor. The clock's red digits keep marching. At 2:03 I doze and tumble into a dream of running on 4 legs, the ground a ribbon under me, the sky too close, the taste of metal sweet in my mouth. I wake to my own teeth closed on my knuckle. At 3, 11 a.m., we all somehow fall asleep at once. At 6:42, the alarm detonates. The room is gray-blue with weak morning. For 3 seconds, I think we made it, and it was all a ridiculous movie I watched on my phone with the volume too high. Then I see the text again, still there once I switch airplane off, and my head clears like fog burning off asphalt. We don't talk in the bathroom. We pass the single curling iron like a peace treaty, pull on hoodies, lace dirty sneakers. The mirror shows 3 girls who look almost normal. Almost. What if we pretend to be normal until lunch? Orca says around her toothbrush. Then we reassess. Sports day, Belly mumbles. Big crowds, good cover, bad cover if you know. We all know. The annual sports meet with Lakeview College is a carnival of rival t-shirts and obnoxious chants. The kind of day you expect pranks and bruises. The kind of day a different kind of fight could slip through unnoticed. We time our walk to the field with the flood of students, letting the crowd sponge us up. The air tastes like kettle corn and cold dirt. Faculty volunteers pour coffee into paper cups and try to appear inspiring. A pep band bleats from the bleachers. The drumline does a little cadence that bumps my heart into sync with it. We plant ourselves near the 50-yard line and pretend to argue about the relay lineup. My gaze net casts, dragging for familiar shapes. I see the hoodie guy, Josh Sharp, laughing with someone he'll forget he spoke to. I see 2 of Ben's friends setting up cones with a focus entirely disproportionate to the job of setting up cones. And then I see him. He stands near the edge of the track like he arrived there without walking, hands in jacket pockets, expression like a secret. For a second, something in me tries to throw itself toward him, like if I just got close enough my questions would answer themselves. I lock my knees. He feels my gaze. This time I feel him feel it. He doesn't look away. He tips his chin the smallest degree toward the far end of the bleachers, away from the crowd, a place where the concrete steps are empty at this hour. Orca nudges me, voice flat. Don't. I'm not, I say, already moving. I'm getting a hot chocolate. Middle of the field, she hisses. 0 hot chocolate. I'll be right there, I lie, because I can't not find out. Because last night lodged a hook under my sternum and tugged, and now I'm tethered. The far end of the bleachers is colder, wind knifing up from the parking lot. I wrap my arms around myself, counting the rivets in the metal railing so I don't look like I'm waiting for anyone. A shadow stretches across the concrete. He steps into it. Up close, Ben is the exact temperature of danger. Not heat, not ice. The degree that makes you forget what you were doing on purpose. His eyes are lighter now, gray with threads of something warmer, like a storm that forgot to break. You run fast, he says. His voice is quiet, but I feel it in the bones around my ears. I wasn't running, I say, as if that matters. I was walking with urgency. The corner of his mouth ticks. You were watching, he says, no question in it. I was near a hill, I say, which is technically true and completely useless. Stay away from hills, he says. Is that a safety tip? Like don't text while crossing or you'll get hit by a bike. Like don't stand at the edge of things you don't understand. He studies my face like I'm a word in a new language he's teaching himself to speak. What's your name? Alice. Alice, he repeats, tasting it. I'm Ben. I know, I blurt, then want to crawl into the crack in the concrete and live there forever. He notices and lets a tiny smile live for one breath. Then he tucks it away. Stay away from shadows today, he says, softer. Promise me. Why, I ask. Because your friends have bonfires. Something shifts at the edge of his control, a wire tightening. Because shadows turn into doors, he says, and doors have a habit of closing behind people. Before I can decide how to reply to that piece of poetry, a voice cuts in. He's not wrong. I turn. Another guy leans against the railing a few feet away, casual like sun, hair catching the weak light and making its own glow. He's not from our college. His jacket is Lakeview blue, the rival crest stitched at the breast. But nothing about him reads rival. His gaze is steady and kind, which is a word I didn't know I'd need today. Reynolds, he says like we're already on first-name terms. He looks at me, not at Ben. Sorry to interrupt. Ben doesn't move, but the air does. It changes, goes tauter, the way it does right before a storm's first wind. His focus slides from me to Reynolds and back, calculating. We're done, Ben says. Aren't we, Alice? Are we? The syllables of my name sound like a rope in his mouth. I was just leaving, I say, because I need space to think. Because 2 gravity wells are worse than 1. I step sideways, then forward, threading myself between them. Reynolds shifts to give me room. As I pass him, he says, very gently, stay away from shadows. I make it back to Orca and belly on legs I don't feel. Orca's eyebrows attempt orbit. So hot chocolate was canceled, I see. Belly doesn't blink. What did he say? That shadows turn into doors, I say. Belly's voice is small. I want a door to target, please. The morning bleeds into afternoon. The games unfurl. Sprints, relays, the tug-of-war everyone pretends to hate and secretly loves. The crowd roars and droops and roars again. I cheer when I should, stomp when prompted, but my attention hangs on the edges, the quiet places where doors might be. During lunch break, we find seats high in the bleachers, away from the brass section's enthusiastic murder of 7 Nation Army. Belly pulls out her camera, the nice one her aunt bought after she decided Belly had an eye. She leans the lens over the railing, snapping candid shots of our classmates in face paint and mismatched socks. She lowers the shutter speed and takes a few of the track, the wind lifting grit in tiny flares. Get Ben, Orca says, mock-gagging, for your shrine. I don't have a shrine, I say. Belly zooms anyway. The camera purrs. Click, click. She tracks him through the frame as he crosses from the coach's tent to the medical table, talking to people he doesn't need to talk to. He's friendly when he wants to be. He shakes a hand, claps a shoulder. A very convincing human. Got him, Belly says, satisfied. She flips through the playback, then frowns. Huh. What? I lean close. The first photo is fine, sharp, crisp, the line of his jaw etched clean. The second is not. The edges smear just at him, as if he moved too fast for the shutter, except the background is perfectly frozen. The third is worse, his outline blur soft, like heat above asphalt. By the fourth, his face is a streak of gray light and the trees behind him are crystal clear. Belly adjusts the settings and tries again. Same result. The world holds still while Ben dissolves. Maybe my focus is off, she says, voice thin. She snaps Orca, who grimaces on command. The photo is painfully crisp, you can count pores. Okay, rude. Try again, I say, and she does, and the same fog eats him, leaving perfect clarity everywhere else. The band starts a new song. The drumline's cadence rattles my ribs. I feel suddenly naked up here, perched in the open, the sky too big. Reynolds appears below us on the track like he just rose out of the ground, talking with a coach from our side, his Lakeview jacket half-zipped. He laughs at something the coach says. It looks like a laugh he uses in emergencies, gentle, diffusing. Then he glances up. Finds me. He gives a tiny nod I feel more than see, a promise carried on a wire. The word that lands in my head isn't threat. It isn't even warning. It's anchor. Ben turns, too. Even blurred on Belly's camera, I feel his attention brush my skin. The beat between those 2 moments is 1 heartbeat long and says something I don't have a language for yet. Okay, Orca says, slamming her palms on her thighs like a judge delivering a verdict. We need data. Tonight we look again, not at a bonfire, at regular people doing regular crimes like jaywalking. Tonight, Belly squeaks. Tonight I was going to take a bath the temperature of molten lava and pretend to be a noodle. Tonight, Orca repeats, because I'm not letting mysteries multiply. We go back to the dorm after this, lock the door, comb through those photos, and if our boy keeps glitching out of reality, we make a plan. We do exactly that. By dusk, our room is a crime lab. Belly's camera connects to her laptop. The images fill the screen in orderly rows. She blows them up. We argue about shutter priority. We argue about whether ghosts exist. Orca pulls up a map of campus and pinpoints where we saw the bonfire last night, then overlays the wind direction because of course she does. I open a blank doc and type every weird thing since yesterday morning, time-stamped minute by minute like a confession. 7:09 p.m., Ben warns me about shadows. Reynolds repeats the exact phrase. Coincidence? Script. 7:33 p.m., Belly's photos blur around Ben only. 8:01 p.m., text from unknown last night. Who has my number? 8:14 p.m., why did the circle wait? For what? The window is cracked to let out the heat of our brains and the laptop, and the night presses a cool cheek to the sill. Across the lawn, someone laughs too loudly. A dog barks once and is shushed. The moon clears the top of the Humanities building, thin as a thumbnail and brighter than it has any right to be. Belly flips to the last set of images. She stops. Guys, she whispers, look. Ben in profile, blurred soft. Behind him, near the base of the bleachers, there's a shape in the shadow. Not person-shaped. Not animal-shaped either. A negative space with edges that peel away from being seen. The more I look, the more I feel like I'm standing at a cliff edge with fog below, and something is breathing in that fog. Orca exhales slow. Door, she says. Shadows into doors. A shiver rides my arms. I picture Ben's eyes, how they found mine in the dark like I was a match struck in his night. I picture Reynolds' steady nod like a promise to hand me a flashlight the second I ask. Okay, I say, voice not quite steady but mine. We're not turning back. We go in smart. We go in together. We don't let the doors shut behind us. Belly closes the laptop like she's closing a book on a ghost that might crawl out. If one of you leaves me, I will haunt you, she says. I will become the most annoying spirit. I deserve it, I tell her. The minute clicks over on the digital clock. 8:29 p.m. I write it down. Every minute matters now. Every breath is an entry. The ordinary world is still right here. Microwave noodles, hair ties, the raw reminding us about the fire drill on Friday. And under it, a second world is sliding into place, full of teeth and heat and rules we haven't learned. My phone buzzes, not unknown this time. Reynolds, if you're going to look, don't do it alone. I stare at the text until the characters stop being letters and turn back into shapes. Orca peeks over my shoulder, eyes widening. Belly squeals into her pillow because she's incapable of silent enthusiasm. A second text lands. Reynolds, I can help you see which doors are safe. I swallow, throat dry. My thumbs hover. The window breathes cool on my cheek. The moon sits smug and thin over the Humanities building like it knows a joke I don't. I type. Alice, meet me in the library lobby in 10, and bring a flashlight that actually works. Send. We grab hoodies and nerve, and we go, minute by minute into the dark. 8:37. The library lobby hums with that fluorescent buzz that makes you feel like your bones are tuning forks. Orca paces between the vending machines, muttering about sugar ratios in gummy bears like she's doing math on a bomb. Belly stares at the double doors as if she can make Reynolds materialize sooner by sheer will. He does like he stepped out of the gray between blink and breath. Lakeview jacket, scuffed sneakers, a flashlight that looks like it could interrogate a spaceship. He lifts it sheepish. This one works, he says. Requirements fulfilled, Orca answers. Now define door, in words a normal person would say. He angles the beam toward the floor so it won't blind us, then gestures to the windows where the night crowds the glass. Light makes shadows, but some shadows hold, seams. When you stand at certain angles, they open into places that shouldn't be there. The doors show up more often when there's a pack within 100 yards. Belly swallows, like last night's bonfire. Yes, he says. His eyes land on me for one heartbeat longer than they need to. The hallway light puts a glint in them. Staying away is smart, looking is dangerous, but looking with people who know what they're doing is less dangerous. Why help? Orca asks. You don't even go here. I know, Reynolds' mouth tips. I have excellent taste in strangers. I bite down on a smile I shouldn't like. So where do we start? Not with the woods, he says. With something smaller, come on. 8:42 p.m., we trail him down the side corridor to the west exit, where the security light rattles like it's full of bees. Reynolds stops right before the door and points at the slice of darkness where the lower hinge throws a wedge of shadow. "Watch," he says, then shifts one step left. The wedge widens like a blink. The air exhaled something cold. Belly clutches my sleeve. Orca leans in to scowl at it like she can scowl it shut. Reynolds doesn't open it. He just shows us the way it breathes. "Little doors can make you sick if you step wrong," he says. "Big ones can get you lost or bring things through." I hear the unspoken, and someone has been bringing things through. "Who?" I ask. He looks at me like he's deciding how much truth I can carry. "Your friend with the warnings," he says finally. "And his friends, the ones who blur in photos." "Ben," I say before I can tuck his name away. Reynolds' mouth softens. "He's not for you." "I didn't say he was," I lie. He clicks the flashlight off, the shadow collapsing like a held breath released. We walk back toward the lobby together, footfalls soft on the carpet, fluorescent buzz like fake insects in the ceiling. He's taller up close than I remembered. Not intimidating. Still, it's like standing near a generator, quiet power waiting. "I won't tell you what to do," he says as we reach the doors. "But if you're going to keep looking, I'd like you to text me first. I can't always be here, but I can try, and I will always answer." It shouldn't move me, it does. "Okay," I say, and mean it too much. 8:56 p.m. outside. Night folds around our shoulders like a shawl dipped in November. We thank Reynolds and peel away across the quad. He waits a beat, hands in pockets, then heads the opposite direction. I watch him go till the path bends him into nothing. Belly bumps me. "If I were a sane person, I'd have a crush on him," she says. "But I'm me, so instead I want to throw myself into a bonfire." "You can have a crush on both a stable man and an inferno," Orca says. "This is America." We laugh, too loud and too fast because we're scared. We cross the lawn to the dorm. The Roz bulletin board has pictures from last month's costume party. In one corner, someone has taped a flyer for the winter formal with a glitter pen scrawl, "Dance like nobody is a werewolf." Under it, someone else wrote in ballpoint, "Rude." 9:11 p.m. Orca makes tea so strong I could varnish a chair with it. Belly scrolls photos again and again, zooming in on the shadow that looked like it might peel back into a throat. I write on our whiteboard in big letters, "Rules," beneath it. No solo trips. Text Reynolds if we look at doors. Do not get eaten. Belly adds, "for snacks," and draws a granola bar like a tiny coffin. We debate where to start next and settle on normal life tomorrow until we can't pretend. My phone pings. A number I don't have saved. I don't need the name to know who it is. "Ben, library after your 10 a.m. class. South Steps. Come alone." My stomach does a weird flip like it's trying to be a pancake. I read it twice, 3 times, like maybe the words change if I stare. Orca swipes the phone from my hand with a cat burglar's reflexes. "No," she says. "Absolutely not. That's how horror movies begin." Belly tilts her head. Counterpoint. If we know where the monster will be, we can triangulate and deploy a net. I take my phone back. "I won't go alone," I say. "I'll go followed." Orca weighs this. Finally. "Fine. I will be the world's most conspicuous plant behind a column." 9:46 p.m. We set alarms like they're prayers, and finally sleep like our brains were unplugged. 9:52 a.m. Wednesday. I feel like I woke up inside a drum. Classes pass in strobe flashes, notes I don't absorb, faces I know sliding by like fish. The world looks the same and is not. 10:59. The South Library steps soak sun like a giant bread loaf. Students flow up and down in streams. I stand under the column and pretend to read Belly's camera manual. Belly, accidentally, sits on the step below me with sunglasses the size of old TVs. Orca suns herself 3 pillars away and looks like someone who would shred a man for fun. The air tightens. It's not the wind. It's him arriving the way pressure changes before a train. Ben steps out of the current of people and into my day like he has the right. He's in black again because of course he is. His eyes do a little sweep of the space, quick and exact, and I feel his attention land on my friends with the weight of a hand. Then he ignores them and looks only at me. Alice, he says, like an answer that expected the question. Ben, I say, like a problem I can't solve yet. A smile ghosts his mouth there and gone. Walk. I have class. I lie poorly. You have 12 minutes, he says, and of course he knows. He tips his head toward the path along the fountain. I feel Orca's glare ladder up my spine. I nod and step away, letting him take half a stride beside and one ahead, like he's always slightly closer to the next thing than I am. Did you sleep? He asks, conversational as weather. Not much. His glance is amused, but not cruel. Curiosity is a thief. What did it steal from you? I ask. Nothing I'm willing to give back. He pockets his hands. Do you like being right, Alice? Is this a trick? It's a map. He slows as we reach the fountain. A spray of water lifts and falls. Rainbows ghost the mist and disappear. You saw things last night you can't unsee. You will chase them until you break yourself or until you learn the rules. I would prefer the latter. I hear the echo of Reynolds saying something similar. The mirror image with the negatives swapped. Ben flicks a glance toward the library steps where Orca pretends to be a statue and Belly pretends to be sunglasses. He smiles, actually smiles, like he appreciates the attempt. Then his eyes come back to me and the warmth fades to something sharper. Bring them if you want, he says, but they're not the one the doors will try to swallow. Why me? I ask, because I look too long. Because you smell like a threshold. The words are soft, but they land. Because you could be at home with us or with them, and you haven't picked, and that kind of in-between calls to a lot of teeth. My mouth goes dry. You talk like you collect metaphors for sport. I talk like a person who has to measure what he says, he answers. If you want plain, I'm asking you to stop peering through wormholes and instead walk the campus with me tonight so I can show you where the danger is and where it is. There it is, the invitation, the hook dragged in velvet. Is this where you tell me you're the good guys? I ask. He laughs once, quiet. I will tell you we're the ones who know this ground, and that the ones from Lakeview are not your guardians, even when they act like it. His gaze dips to my mouth and back up like it didn't. Say yes. Should say no. Instead, my ribs expand and the yes is written on the inside of them. Yes, I hear myself say, but not alone. Fine. His smile tips feral, satisfied. Bring your chorus. We loop back to the steps. Ben peels off with a nod to Belly that is almost a bow and a look at Orca that is almost a dare. Then he disappears into the stairwell like he was never there. Belly exhales. He looks like a secret had a baby with a leather jacket. Orca rubs her temples. I hate that I agree. We're not marrying him, I say. We're gathering data. Gathering, Orca echoes darkly, like crows. 7:02 p.m. we meet at the fountain because the library steps feel too much like a stage. The sky is a satin bruise. Ben arrives with two of his pack, charcoal hoodie, name tag invisible, Aura says knife pretends to be spoon, and a small girl with a red scarf whose eyes could cut glass. Ben introduces them as Noelle and Kira. They nod like hello is a variable. We're doing a perimeter, Ben says. Nothing dramatic, don't run unless I tell you. If I tell you to run, don't stop. Any questions? Belly raises a hand like she's in algebra II. Would you prefer we scream quietly? Kira's mouth twitches. I like her, she tells Ben. We move, across the quad, along the edge of the practice fields, into the slice of trees that web the back campus trails. The moon is fatter than last night, smugger. My lungs pull the damp air and eat it like soup. My heart keeps a tempo that wants to be a sprint. 7:19 p.m. we find the first seam beside the maintenance shed, where a floodlight throws a slab of black along the wall. Ben doesn't open it. He hovers near, nostrils flaring like scent writes math he can read. Rogue crossing, he murmurs. 3 hours ago, 2 feet, 4 feet. He looks at me as if to see if I can picture it. I can, a man, a wolf. We move on. Kira points with the tilt of her chin, tiny signals that rearrange the group without words. Noelle's attention is never really on us. It's on the spaces between trunks, the negative shapes. He and Ben talk sometimes in a low code that tastes like iron filings. 7:38 p.m. The path forks. We take the left. My shoe catches a root. I stumble. Ben's hand finds my elbow. Not dramatic, not possessive. The exact amount of pressure that says I won't let you eat dirt. The heat of it shoots up my arm and hides behind my ribs like a smuggled match. Careful, he says, barely sound. I lie. We stop again, deeper now, where the trees knit shadows like a sweater. Ben holds up a palm that means still. The ground has a hush laid over it, heavier than normal night. And then it happens. A shape slips between two trunks, taller than a man, low as a thought. The shadow shakes itself off and becomes a body, and that body isn't human. Fur accepts the moon like it was minted for it. The muzzle lifts. The air shifts with the weight of a new fact. We are not alone and never were. This is not last night's distant glimpse. This is full sight. My brain tries to divide the creature into parts it can handle. Wolf head, bear chest, cat grace, and fails because the math doesn't add. It's gorgeous and awful. Its eyes are a molten coin color and they are entirely, terrifyingly thinking. Kira doesn't move. Noelle doesn't breathe. Ben steps forward, not enough to challenge, enough to say, I see you. The werewolf tilts its head and snorts. Saliva strings like spun glass. It flicks an ear. Belly has both hands clamped on my forearm, so hard I might have bruises shaped like her fingers tomorrow. Orca's posture says freeze fight film. She settles on freeze. The werewolf's gaze slips to me and stays. Something passes between my lungs and my spine, a hum deep as an engine idling. Not recognition. Not yet. Interest. Ben's voice cuts like a razor on velvet. Back, he says, to me. Not your hunt. For a breath, the animal thinks about disagreement. Then it huffs, shakes once, and peels itself into shadow again, the seam of darkness widening like a wound to let it go. The exhale around me is the first real air in a minute. What, Belly whispers because words are hard now, did we just see? One of ours, Ben says, on patrol. Not casual, not bored, just the fact delivered. He doesn't say we are this. He lets the we hang and waits for me to pull on it. We need to go, Noelle murmurs. And we do, wary now, watching for more seams, more gold eyes, more rules. 8:06 p.m. at the edge of the trees near the rugby field, the air thins. Campus noise filters back. A microwave ding, a car door slam, laughter that isn't scared. Kira peels off to do a loop of the athletics center. Noelle ghosts toward the library as if he's always been a rumor. Ben stops near the lamppost where the light dies before it shreds the dark. You have questions, he says. A galaxy, I answer. Pick 3. I do, fast before I lose courage. What are you? Werewolves, he says, simple as name, birth date. How many? Enough. He tucks his hands into his pockets, a boy gesture that doesn't take away his edges. And not enough. Why us, I blurt. Why this campus? Now he hesitates, weighing knives. Because this ground is thin, he says at last. Doors open easier where the story of a place is already cracked. A century ago, men cut the woods here and left them angry. 50 years ago, a dorm burned. 10 years ago, a storm split the big oak by the chapel like judgment. Places remember, and hungry things like memory. It's too much. It's exactly enough. I nod like I get it and actually do. He looks at me with an expression I can't read until I realize it's a kind of pride. Like I answered a question on a test I didn't know I was taking. 2 more, he says. Who are the rogues? Wolves without an anchor, he says, or with anchors in bad ground. He glances toward town like an arrow pointing. Some from Lakeview, some from farther. Reynolds, I ask before I can strangle the name. Ben's mouth does something like a flinch and a smile had a tug of war. Golden boy, he says, not unkindly. He's not a wolf. That surprises me. It shouldn't, it does. Then why? Because some people like to stand between doors and girls, Ben says quietly. Sometimes for good reasons, sometimes to feel noble. And you, I ask reckless, why do you stand there? He looks at me like he's trying to decide if he can say the true thing without it costing him. "Because the doors talk to you," he says finally. "And I would rather they talk to you with me next to you than with anyone else." The sentence lands in the hollow behind my ribs and echoes. 8:19 p.m. we head back toward the main path. Belly remembers to breathe. Orca catalogs landmarks like we'll need to run this route blind later. Ben's phone buzzes. He reads, face going tighter. "What?" I ask. "Something near the old observatory." He looks at me like he hates the next thing he's about to say and says it anyway. "Go home." I open my mouth to argue. He steps in closer, not touching me, but the space between us feels held. "I mean it," he says. "Tonight you've seen enough, please." The please is like a clean shirt handed to someone in the rain. It undoes me. "Okay," I say, and it feels like trust, which should scare me more than it does. He nods once, a tiny bow, then lifts a hand like he might touch my cheek and changes his mind. "Tomorrow," he says, already turning away. "If you want." "I will," I say, surprising myself with how fast the promise comes. He disappears into the trees, with two shadows falling in behind him like obedient dogs. 8:27 p.m. we walk back to the dorm under the lamplight, my nerves jangling like keys. Belly's voice trembles. I mean they are." "Yes," Orca says, efficient. "We'll process in the morning, or never. For now, hot chocolate shower collapse." My phone vibrates. I think it's Ben again, but it's Reynolds. "Reynolds, are you safe?" I type before my brain's brakes engage. "Alice, yes, saw a shift, I'm okay." "Reynolds, be careful. He will show you the parts of the truth that make him look like the answer." "Alice, and you'll show me the parts that make you look like the answer." There's a full minute before he replies, the longest minute. "Reynolds, I'll show you the parts that make you look like the answer." I don't realize I've stopped walking until Orca bumps me. I put the phone in my pocket like it might burn me if I hold it too long. The night smells like damp leaves and borrowed courage. 9:01 p.m. we key into the dorm, climb the stairs, and collapse on our beds without taking off our shoes. The minute clicks over on the clock. I write it in my notebook because writing pins the world in place. "We saw a werewolf." I scrawl, the ink blurring where my hand shakes, in case tomorrow tries to gaslight me. 9:17 p.m. we don't talk much. The silence feels like a bandage. Belly showers with the door cracked so the steam doesn't set off the smoke detector. Orca reads the code of conduct for our building like something in there might cover monsters. I lie flat and stare at the ceiling crack, feeling the night bend around the building the way it bent around Ben. At 10:06 p.m. I text Reynolds one more time. "Alice, thank you for the flashlight lesson." "Reynolds, thank you for not falling through a door." "Alice, is that a thing that happens?" "Reynolds, sometimes. Not to you if I can help it. Good night, Alice." I sleep like a rock thrown into a lake. 7:12 a.m. Thursday smells like coffee. Before I know, I turn the machine on. Orca is already dressed and looks like she could bench press a chair. Belly announces she dreamed of wolves bargaining for croissants. We laugh and the sound comes out shaky but brighter. 9:55 a.m. after intro to Lit, I find Ben waiting along the hallway, one shoulder to the wall, one ankle hooked over the other. He's texting with his head down, hair falling into his eyes, the human pose so normal it disorients me. He looks up when I get close, that half smile there and gone. "Walk," he says again. It's becoming a ritual. I don't know whether to be worried about that or relieved by it. We take the long way toward the arts building. The air is crisp, the sky a messy watercolor. Students lug portfolios that look like shields. A boy practices trumpet under a sycamore and nails exactly 0 notes. Someone claps anyway. "You didn't go to the observatory?" I ask. "We did." His voice goes flatter. "Nothing I wanted you to see." "Is that how you're going to manage me?" I ask before I decide to be polite. "You choose the view, and I'm supposed to be grateful for the tour." He blinks. Then he gives me a look that is half admiration, half trouble. "No," he says. You're going to manage yourself, and I'm going to try to keep you from trying to manage death. He glances down at my hands. You shake after you're brave, that's good, means you're human. You say human like it's a slur, I say lightly. I say it like it's a condition, he counters. Not permanent if you don't want it to be. The ground stutters under my feet. Is that a thing, becoming? He stops me with a small motion of his hand. Not today, he says. You asked me to tell the truth. Here's a true thing I can give you today. We protect this campus. The ones from Lakeview meddle. Sometimes they help. Sometimes they open doors they can't close. And the rogues, I ask. Chase blood and fear, he says. Sometimes they're ours who forgot. Sometimes they're theirs who were never taught. He looks at me, eyes going quiet and deep. Come with me tonight. We'll track a door together, you'll see. Every warning sign in my brain lights up and spells do not in carnival bulbs. Every other part of me walks to the ticket booth anyway. I'll come, I say, with Orca and Belly. He nods, accepting terms like a prince being gracious. 8, behind the theater. 11:31 a.m. Belly is nervous excited. Orca prints out a campus map with a highlighter route like we're going on a field trip that requires wolf repellent. I keep thinking of the way the werewolf's eyes held me and didn't blink. 7:56 p.m. behind the theater, the loading dock smells like dust and paint and secrets. Ben arrives alone, hands bare, neck bare, unarmored in a way that isn't actually unarmored. He nods to my friends. Tonight is simple, he says. We're following a leak. What now? Belly asks. Think of the doors like plumbing, he says. Sometimes the seams drip. You can smell it if you know how. He looks at me. You're new, you'll smell it anyway. He isn't wrong. As we cut across the rehearsal lawn, a thread of scent unwinds on the air, metal and rain, and something like sage burned wrong. My mouth waters, not pleasant. There, I say, surprised at the certainty. By the sculpture. Ben's expression flickers. Yes. We angle toward the wrought iron sculpture that looks like a birdcage got in a fight with a philosophy major. The shadow pooling inside it hums, a low throb my bones hear more than my ears. Ben steps just left, doors breathe, and the seam shivers wide enough to show teeth. I don't mean literal teeth. I mean the feeling of them. He doesn't open it. He holds his hand out, palm toward it like calming a horse. Back up, he says softly, and we do, the seam size smaller. You could pull it, I ask. I could, he says. I won't. Something was sniffing around looking for weak places. I'd like to know who. Lakeview, Orca asks. Maybe, he glances at me. Maybe the boy with the kind eyes knows more than he tells. I think of Reynolds's texts, his careful promises, the way he said your answer. I feel a prickle of defense I didn't know I'd have. Don't call him boy, I say. You're, 20? Age is a costume, he says. Somewhere it better. We move again. The leak trail pulls toward the stadium, down the hill behind the bleachers where the ground holds last winter's damp. Ben squats, fingers skimming the dirt, and I feel stupidly breathless watching his hand read the ground. He stands in one smooth line, a motion so economical it makes me think of last night's werewolf shaking into a new skin. Here, he says, this is where we wait. For what? Belly whispers. For whoever can't resist pressing on a bruise. 8:23 p.m. waiting is a sport I hate. The night buzzes with insect lights and distant conversation. My pulse taps counterbeats. Orca whispers a monologue about how terrifying patience is. Belly counts her breaths, then counts mine when she thinks I'm not breathing them. Then the air sharpens, not wind, presence. Footsteps drift along the slope, not furtive, not stomping, as if the walker enjoys being exactly where they are. Reynolds steps into the lamplight. No jacket tonight. He's in a dark sweater that makes him glow more somehow, like a candle with dignity. He takes in the four of us, the two girls stiff with adrenaline, the boy too calm, me steadier than I feel, and he sighs once, a sound of someone who expected a math problem and got a poem. Ben, he says gentle. Reynolds, Ben answers, not gentle. You keeping them safe? Reynolds asks. Yes, Ben says. At what price? Ben's smile is not friendly and not hostile. It's a cat at a bird bath. Honesty is expensive everywhere, he says. Tonight it'll cost you answering first. Reynolds looks at me, not at Ben. There's a gap near the sculpture, he says. Lakeview students pushed at it last week. I sealed it. Someone unsealed it. I came to see who. Ben's eyes flash with something like respect, or annoyance dressed as respect. Not us, he says. We smell the glue you used. It's wrong. It held, Reynolds says. Until it didn't, Ben says. They could circle like this forever, two men arguing in metaphors because plain curses would be too easy. I step in. If either of you has a fix that isn't a pissing contest, I'm taking it. Reynolds's mouth curves. Stand with me, he says softly, not a command, a ladder lowered into a pit. Ben doesn't alter his posture at all, and somehow that feels like a shout. Stand with me, he says, even softer, like a confession, as if his idea of safety is made of teeth turned outward. I'm not picking, I say. I'm learning. I lift my chin. Show me together. A beat, too. Then surprise, Reynolds nods. Another surprise, Ben also nods. For the next 20 minutes, we do something I wouldn't have thought possible last week. We walk the grounds with a werewolf and a not werewolf who both know doors like surgeons know bone. Ben tracks by scent and pressure, and the minutes shift in the way the cold sits on the grass. Reynolds tracks by sound, and the way moths behave around bulbs and 100 tiny tells I couldn't name. Together they are terrifying and beautiful. 8:49 p.m. at the sculpture, Reynolds stands where Ben stood and lifts his hand. Same gesture, different touch. The seam shivers. He hums a note under his breath I don't recognize. The line of dark clenches, then relaxes like muscle. He pulls a small vial from his pocket, cracks the seal, and the sage-rong smell lifts, replaced by something cleaner, rosemary and rain. This is better, he says. Ben sniffs, unamused. It will do. He looks at me. Do you see now, doors are not toys. I never thought they were, I say. I'm done being lost outside them. He holds my gaze and I feel the pull, that field between us crackling like radio static. The idea of stepping closer exists in the air, then steps back, polite. 9:06 p.m. we loop the long way, end near the theater where we began. Belly is practically vibrating with a biology of excitement that could power a small city. Orca looks grudgingly impressed. There's a moment where I think maybe we all exhale at the same time and the night will be kind. A howl lands from the far end of campus. Not human, not dog, nothing but wolf. It rips the air into ribbons and knots them again. Ben's head snaps up. His whole body changes, posture sliding from boy to command in the width of a heartbeat. Reynolds goes still the way a lake goes, still right before it shows you the sky. What is it? I ask stupidly, because the question is obvious and the answer is worse. Rogue, Ben says, close. Kira comes out of the dark like a bullet of silk. West Lot, she says, breath calm like she just ran a mile in her mind. 2. Noelle's voice hits my ear from the other side, like he grew out of shadow. 3 now. Ben makes a decision without seeming to make it. Alice, he says, and my name in his mouth is a circle drawn around me. Go back, do not follow. If you hear another howl, get inside a building with lights. What about you? I hear someone ask. It is me and is. Work, he says. He looks at Reynolds like enemies who share a boat. You coming, Saint? Reynolds doesn't even sigh. I brought my shoes, he says and takes a step. Wait, I say, and I don't know which one I'm stopping until I realize it's Ben. He turns back, eyebrows like question marks with knives for points. I step forward without permission from sense and reach, just touch the sleeve of his jacket. The contact is nothing and everything. The heat under the fabric is a living thing. Be careful, I say, not knowing which part of him I mean. His lashes flicker as if I pressed a fingertip to a bruise he hides. Always, he says. Then he's gone, with Kira at his shoulder and Noelle melted into his wake. Reynolds gives me one last look that wraps around my spine like a warm scarf, and then he's gone, too. 9:14 p.m. we stand there, 3 girls on the wrong side of a story, listening to a night that might split its seams. Belly's hand finds mine. Orca's jaw is iron. The howl doesn't come again, which is almost worse. 9:22 p.m. we start walking, slow, deliberate, toward the dorms like we're harmless, like we don't have a map in our heads of where the weak places are now. My phone buzzes once. Unknown. Don't watch bonfires alone, the first text said last night. Tonight says, don't stand in doorways you don't know how to close. I type back before fear votes. Then teach me. Dots appear, disappear, appear. Tomorrow, it says, 8 p.m. the roof of the humanities building. I don't tell the girls yet because saying it out loud will cement it into the world, and my mouth isn't ready. I pocket the phone and let the campus lights wash us in regular human yellow. 9:31 p.m. in the room, we bolt the door, shove the desk chair under the knob, all the theater of safety. Belly flops on my bed and groans into my pillow like a whale. Orca scrolls the campus security app and snorts at the coyote awareness pamphlet because it doesn't cover 7-foot problems. I stand by the window, forehead against the cool glass. The quad spreads below like a chessboard. Somewhere out there, wolves are being wolves and boys are being storms, and I am being a girl who said yes when she should have said sleep. My phone lights up, one more text. Reynolds, inside. I smile, surprised at how much it hurts not to be seen, and how much it helps to be asked. Alice, inside. Reynolds, good, lock your door, dream about safe things. Alice, name 3. Reynolds, warm bread, rain on car roofs, your own name in your own mouth. The last one hums along my skin like a chord. I type good night and put the phone face down. 10:02 p.m. I write in my notebook until my hand cramps. Rules I write. Hunger I add. Names, doors, hands, eyes. The list doesn't look like much. It looks like the axes of a graph I haven't drawn yet. Behind me, Belly snores like a small, adorable chainsaw. Orca mutters something about flanking patterns in her sleep. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding, and then another. 10:09 p.m. the minute clicks over and carries me with it. I climb into bed and pull the blanket up to my ears like I'm 8. The campus settles. Somewhere, a wolf does or doesn't howl. I don't hear it because finally, sleep drags me under like a door into a dark that, for once, closes softly and keeps me safe. 7:11 p.m. Friday. The humanities building roof is colder than the rest of campus, like wind comes here to sharpen its teeth. The stairwell door groans behind me. Orca wedges it with a rock so it won't lock. Belly, bundled in 2 hoodies, whispers, 50 minutes, hard stop. If you're not back, we call literally everyone, including the mayor. There is no mayor, Orca says, but we'll invent one. You 2 are going back down, I tell them. You'll watch my dot on Find My. If it moves off the roof, you run here. Belly makes the face she makes when she hates a plan but loves me. Orca huffs, squeezes my forearm and backs toward the stairs. Whistle if you need me, she says, passing me the tin whistle she keeps on her keychain like an old man in a park. I mean it. 7:13 p.m. the lights of campus sprawl below. The quad a lit chessboard, the library a bright fish tank, the theater loading dock in shadow like a shut eye. The wind sneaks into my sleeves and up my spine. Footsteps scrape on gravel. Reynolds steps out of the darkness, hands visible, sweater darker than the night. He looks like someone who learned, very young, how not to spook skittish things. You picked unknown, I say. Ben watches the obvious lines, he says. I didn't want him reading this one. A beat. I hate that my first instinct is to defend Ben, even silently, and I hate that a second instinct turns toward Reynolds like a plant to a lamp. You said you had proof, I say. He nods toward the low wall at the edge. We sit with space between us, not quite shoulder to shoulder. He sets a folder on the gravel between our shoes, opens it. The wind tries to take the top sheet. He stops it with 2 fingers. Start simple, he says. Campus medical logs, redacted, but nothing is ever truly erased. He taps. 2 sprained ankles, 3 animal scratches, 4 fall injuries, all treated after midnight, none followed up, all students now listed as on personal leave. Their roommates say they transferred. There are no transfers, there are basements. The paper shows dates, times, initials, more black bars than words. I read anyway. Names live under ink if you know how to listen. Maybe they're protecting privacy, I say, because my heart wants it to be that. Maybe, he says softly, then this. He unfolds a printout. It's a web of boxes and lines. Campus clubs, scholarship funds, a community outreach committee with a smiling wolf logo that looks like graphic design had a crush on a secret. At the bottom, Griffin and Sons Janitorial, a company that does not, as far as I can tell, own a mop. Flow lines show money looping from the college to the outreach committee to Griffin and Sons, and then into 3 other shells, one of which, Wolfpine, LLC, pays a monthly consulting fee to a name I recognize because I've wanted to write it on my hand. Benjamin Hale. I go cold so quickly it feels like I stepped into an X-ray. No. Yes, he says quiet. Maybe, I hear my mouth say. I don't know, maybe he's using it to pay for security. Reynolds's eyes are kind in a way that doesn't let me off the hook. Then, where are the guards? Where are the lights? Where are the official reports? Why does the money go out as cash stipends to students who stop answering phones? Pain rises like a tide. You could have faked this. He nods, not offended. He peels back another page, a scan of an email thread with the subject line, Patrol Injuries Urgent. The sender's address is a campus alias I've seen in Ben's texts. The body, 2 down, Patchett Med, no paperwork. An attachment tag reads Wolfpine Consulting Invoice 34, PDF. My stomach heaves up under my ribs. A sound escapes me, small, ridiculous. I thought they were protecting us. They protect what they own, Reynolds says. They own the doors, they rent the fear. The wind lifts a strand of my hair. He reaches to tuck it back and stops himself, choosing the space instead of the touch. I know what it feels like, he says, to need the person who might burn you. I swallow. The present tense betrays me. He isn't all bad. Neither is a bonfire, he says. But if you get too close, you stop being a person and become a lesson. 7:29 p.m. My phone buzzes. Orca, 12 mins left. Belly adds a gif of a raccoon washing grapes. It breaks my heart how much I want a life where raccoon grape videos are the most intense part of my day. Come, Reynolds says, standing. We cross to the far side of the roof where the humanities building casts a deep shadow over a lower annex. He angles his body so he doesn't block the wind and the scent it carries. Watch. He shifts 1 step left. The darkness breathes open like a pupil dilating. Not a door to a space, more like a bruised place between 2 truths. He doesn't touch it. He doesn't have to. Inside the seam, a figure flickers and then resolves for a heartbeat. A boy with blood on his shirt front, eyes dazed, mouth forming the word help. I lurch forward. Reynolds catches my sleeve. Memory, he says. Not now, last week, look again. The picture shudders and becomes last night. A different body, different blood. An arm around a shoulder dragging weight through a half-open mouth of dark. The person doing the dragging is a silhouette I know by how it stands. Precise, collected, always half a step ahead. Ben. No, I say again, and it doesn't sound like a denial this time. It sounds like grief. The story a place remembers, Reynolds says. They take hurt kids through doors so no one sees. They bill the school for keeping us safe. We stand with it. We let it change us. 7:38 p.m. My phone buzzes again. Orca, time. I type coming. My hands shake. I hate that Reynolds feels it even without looking. Will you be okay? He asks. I don't know, I say truthfully, but I know what I have to do. He nods once, doesn't try to kiss me, bless him. Text me when you're inside. I will. At the stairwell, he pauses. Alice, he says, and the way he says my name is a string tied to a safe place. Being brave doesn't mean not breaking. It means breaking where it matters. 7:44 p.m. in the hallway, Orca and Belly are pressed against the wall like bouncers. Orca scans my face and swears under her breath. Belly takes my cold hand and stuffs it in her pocket like contraband to warm it. What did he show you? Orca asks. Enough, I say. Too much. We walk fast because standing still will make me scream. In the room, I shut the door and do the terrible thing. I lay it all out. Medical logs, fake janitors, shell companies, memory doors with boys bleeding and Ben steady in the dark. By the time I finish, Belly's eyes are wet and furious. Orca's hands are fists. I knew it, Orca says, voice low. Something was wrong in his math. To be fair, Belly says, wiping her face with the heel of her hand, it's gorgeous math. 8:11 p.m. my phone lights. Ben, roof. A different roof than I was just on. His roof, the humanities staircase I told him about once by accident. Now, one word heavy as a dropped coin. Orca reads over my shoulder because privacy died a noble death 2 days ago. Don't go, she says. I have to, I say. If I don't, he comes looking. If I do, I might get to choose the battlefield. Belly grips my wrist. We're downstairs, she says. Whistle, scream. I don't care if you set off the fire alarm, do it. 8:18 p.m. I climb alone. Every landing smells like old books and some ghost's perfume. The roof door is ajar. Wind combs my hair in cold fingers. Ben stands at the edge like a statue that might decide to run. He turns before I speak. The look on his face is not surprise. It's a study of a possible storm path. You're late, he says. I was somewhere else, I say, stopping 3 yards from him because closer might be dangerous in ways I don't have names for. He tips his head. With him. Yes. He lifts a hand, not to me, to the dark. The seam at the far parapet shivers, reacts to him like a dog hearing its name. He likes to bring people to the roof, Ben says, because it feels like truth up here. Height does that. You bring them to the ground, I say. Basements, med, doors that breathe memories. A flicker in his eyes, like light catching a blade. He's been busy. You've been busy, I counter. Griffin and Sons, Wolfbine, consulting fees. He doesn't pretend not to know. He doesn't get angry. He smiles, small and private. You went looking, of course you did. Tell me I'm wrong. You're not wrong, he says, and the speed of it knocks me back a step. The wind takes the word and shreds it, still true in pieces. He takes a slow step toward me. I stand my ground because if I yield now, I never stop. We pay for what we do, he says. The school pays us. The world owes us. Choose your phrasing. You hurt people and hide them. We save people and hide the mess from people who can't stomach blood, he says, eyes bright, voice almost gentle. We take kids who would die and turn them into something that can live. By pushing doors, I say, and pulling money. Yes, he says, and I hate how honest he can be when he wants to be. Because someone has to be the grown-up who doesn't flinch. Something in me tears, something else in me leans forward. It's awful admitting both. You sound like a villain, I whisper. I sound like someone who doesn't care what word you pin to my chest as long as the work gets done. He closes the last of the space. The city of my bones goes quiet like it's listening for his weather report. And you, he says softly, sound like someone who enjoys the edge as much as she fears the fall. I want to slap him. I want to kiss him. I do neither. Don't tell me who I am. I'm not telling, I'm noticing. He lifts his hand, and this time he touches. The back of his fingers skim my jaw, a whisper of heat that lives longer than the contact. You came because you want to be convinced. You want permission to be the version of yourself that doesn't apologize for wanting. Wanting what? My voice is a thread. Control, he says, answers me. My breath shudders. He's right, and he knows he's right, and that power is almost worse than claws. I saw you dragging a boy through a door. I dragged him away from a scene where his femoral artery would have sprayed the practice field, he says. He's alive. He's angry. He'll thank me later or he won't. It doesn't change the math. We hang there, 2 magnets, a hair's breadth apart. I could leave. I could confess what I saw and let the night decide us. Instead, I choose the stupidest smart thing I've ever done. Teach me, I say. Make me what you are. A stillness drops over him, not shock, assessment. He studies my face like a test. He steps behind me, slowly, like I could spook, and sets his palms on the parapet to either side of my hips without touching me. You don't know what you're asking. Then show me, I say, or stop pretending I can't see in the dark. His mouth is beside my ear when he speaks, breath warm and deliberate. We are not nice, Alice, he says. We are necessary, we are hungry, and we don't apologize for the teeth. Can you do that? I hate how the question lights something in me. I hate how easy it is to imagine saying yes. Try me. He laughs, shocked out of him, real. His hand finds the small of my back, nothing indecent, everything intimate, and heat rolls through me like a tide that decided my bones were coastline. You're cruel, he says, pleased. You just hide it under kindness because you're polite. You think I'm like you. I know you are, he says into my hair. You wouldn't have come otherwise. 9:02 p.m. He takes me down the back stairs, out into the alley between humanities and admin where the dumpsters smell like old orange peel and solvents, across to the chapel lawn where the oak still wears its lightning scar like a sash. He tells me the pack's rules in small, precise cuts. When you scent blood, you go. When you see a door, you weigh the cost. When you lie for the living. Reynolds lies too, he says conversationally, like we're talking about weather. He just lies prettier. Why do you need me? I ask. He looks over his shoulder with that half-smile that started this whole war. Because doors talk to you, he says again, and because I haven't wanted anything as much as I want to see what you become if someone stops telling you to be good. 9:19 p.m. He stops at the maintenance shed seam where last night's breath moved. He sets his palm close. The dark lifts like a curtain and shows teeth again, images, not present, memory stitched to the air. I see 3 kids sprinting, laughter too sharp to be fun. I see Kira turning at the edge of the woods, eyes bright with wolf shine. I see Noelle, bloody knuckles, kneeling to tie a tourniquet on a boy whose lips are blue with shock. I see Ben, steady, precise, carrying weight toward a door because time was shorter than the distance to Med. It's not simple. It never was. The proof cuts both ways. Do you feel better? He asks low because he knows what I saw. No, I say. I feel worse. I feel like the world just doubled. Welcome to it, he says. 9:31 p.m. He walks me back toward the dorm, stopping once to check the air like a radio he can tune. My phone buzzes every 5 minutes. Orca, status. Belly, are you alive? PLS respond or I will summon a priest. I text 2 minutes and stop summoning and then, privately to Reynolds, I'm okay because he asked me to. Ben stops under a lamppost. The light puts silver in his hair and a shadow under his mouth that makes him look older or truer. I want you near me, he says, not begging, not ordering. I want you where I can see you. I won't apologize for that. I step into the light because it's easier to lie where things look clean. Then keep me close, I say. Teach me the doors. Something like triumph flickers across his face and is gone. He leans in, doesn't kiss me, just breathes me like a promise he's making to himself. Tomorrow, he says, midnight, wear shoes you can run in. He goes. The night opens to let him through and closes behind him like a living thing. 9:41 p.m. I climb stairs with legs made of rain. In the room, Orca is a packing metronome. Belly is a blanket burrito glaring holes in the door. I shut it, lock it, and lean my forehead against the wood like prayer. What did you do? Orca asks. I said yes, I say, and the word tastes like iron. Belly whispers, horrified and awed. To what? To everything, I say. Under my ribs, something sharp and bright unfurls like a blade opening. I am going to burn him down. And I am going to let him think he taught me how. 9:48 p.m. The plan doesn't build itself. I build it with shaking hands on our whiteboard while the heater ticks like a bomb across the room. Orca takes notes like a general. Belly makes tea like a mother and dumps 4 sugars in mine because she knows I won't notice bitterness tonight. Goal, I write, find leverage, find proof, get close, don't drown. Sub-goals, Orca says, packing. Access, faces, names, turn a person inside his group who hates him enough or loves you enough. Or both, Belly says, voice small. Kira likes me. She laughed at my scream plan. She laughed at your existence, Orca corrects gently. Same thing, Belly says. It's a start. 10:06 p.m. we divvy jobs. Orca goes after paperwork, buried emails, invoices with residue you can sniff if you know what glue smells like. Belly tracks bodies, students who left, professors who know and don't know they know, a custodian who smokes behind the theater and watches everything because no one sees the man who empties the trash. Me, I go to midnight with Ben. 10:21 p.m. I shower. Not because I'm dirty, but because my skin is too loud. Steam fogs the mirror. I write my name in it and wipe it away because Reynolds' text lives in that condensation like a benediction, and I can't afford to be soft. I braid my hair tight, tuck a whistle in my pocket, loop the elastic of a tiny silver dagger, Belly's Halloween prop, very dull, into my sleeve because a dull knife is still a point. I lace shoes I can sprint in, tie them twice. 11:12. Orca scrapes at the bursar's portal with a level of profanity that would blister paint. Come on, you greedy little spreadsheet, she mutters. Show me your secrets. Belly draws a map of campus on the back of a pizza box and marks sight lines, light pools, door seams we've noticed. If you blow your whistle and it sounds wrong, we go to Plan B, she says. What's Plan B? I ask. We set the theater on fire, she says. God, I love you, I tell her, and mean it so hard it hurts. 11:51, my phone buzzes. Not text, a voice memo from an unknown number I now know is his other phone. I press play. Ben's voice pours into the tiny speaker, close enough to feel like a hand at the nape of my neck. Come outside, he says, spoken, not written. No running tonight, we're walking the long way. I text Reynolds 2 words, going dark. He replies instantly, I'm awake. Stay on the lit paths when you can. Doors are hungrier on Fridays. The faith of that sentence sits under my tongue like a sugar cube. 11:57 p.m. The campus has that hush that happens when everyone who plans to sin has already gone out and everyone who plans to sleep has already given up. I zip my hoodie, slip into the hall. Orca salutes, mock serious. Belly posits a curse of protection that is 90% Taylor Swift lyrics. The stairwell doesn't creak. The outside door does. Cold clamps my forearms. 12:00 a.m. Saturday. He is where he said he'd be, under the sycamore that held the trumpet boy, now a lattice of black branches snagging moon. Ben looks like the night personalized itself for him. A figure in a dark coat, hands in pockets, gaze taking in the whole board and landing on me like a check. Walk, he says, and we do, his pace measured to mine, like a dance where the steps change every 8 counts. Do you always go out at midnight? I ask. Doors keep bad hours, he says. Wolves do too. We pass the library. A cleaning crew moves inside like slow fish in a lit tank. A seam near the book return breathes, he ignores it. He's choosing a route, I realize, not just to show me things, to keep me from others. He's gentler than he needs to be, and that gentleness is a calculated mercy. I take notes in my head and save them for later. 12:07 a.m. at the statue of the founder, stone gaze stern, stone dog at his feet, Ben stops. The lamplight paints his jaw in clean lines. You're quieter tonight, he says. I'm thinking. About me. The question is vanity wrapped in dare wrapped in truth. Yes, I say, because lying about everything would look like lying about something. About what you want. He tips his head. What do you think? You want the ground to listen to you, I say. You want the doors to say your name. You want the campus to be a story you get to end. He smiles without showing teeth. That's one way of saying keep people alive. And get paid, I add. He doesn't mind. He admires the boldness. And get paid. 12:14. He leads me toward the athletics center, not to the practice fields too exposed, not to the woods too charged, but to the little gravel path that curves behind the old bleachers, where the ground remembers cheering and still tastes like spilled soda. He stops where the seam by the railing hums. He doesn't open it. He teaches instead. Listen, he says, and I do. At first it's just wind, the distant hum of a highway, some creature in the hedge making a sound like a tiny kazoo. Then under it, through it, the gloss of something waiting. a pressure that says not here becoming here if someone says yes. Feel, he says, and he lays his hand just above mine in the air, not touching. The hairs at my wrist lift. I feel ridiculous. I feel holy. I feel dangerous. The seam swells like a throat. He withdraws his hand and it calms. It likes you, he says. I hate that, I say and mean it. Good, he says. Hate is useful. 12:22 a.m. we circle to the chapel. He doesn't go inside. Wolves and sanctuaries have an understanding. But he touches the stone, and I watch his face soften for a breath I want to catch and pocket. My mother liked this place, he says, so quiet I'm not sure I was meant to hear. Is she? Gone, he says. Not the way you mean, different gone. I file that softness beside the sharpness, and don't let either absolve the other. 12:31 a.m. he takes me to the administrative wing, silent, smug, full of glass trophies that cry at the right angle. He points up at a dark office window. That's where they sign contracts, he says. They call me when they need something they can't say out loud. Do you like being their shadow? I ask. I like being the one who knows what it costs, he says, and making them pay it. You sound like a king, I say. I sound like an accountant, he says dryly, a very patient one. 12:39. My phone buzzes. Orca, one dot. I type fine and keep walking because stopping would look like fear and I refuse to feed that. Ben glances at my screen and away, the courtesy as deliberate as anything else he does. So, he says, are you going to tell your new saint about our walk? Probably, I say, and his mouth twitches, amused and annoyed. You're honest for a liar, he says. I'm lying, I ask pleasantly. We all are, he says. 12:47. We stop on the humanities quad where it all began days ago and feels like a century. He faces me in the dark. I can't see his eyes, but I feel them, the way you feel a fire before you see it around a bend. This is the part, he says, where I tell you the cost of becoming what you think you want. I don't think I want it, I say. I know I want to know. He steps close. The air between us is a tightrope. If you stay with me, he says, voice quiet enough to be a secret, you will learn to open doors. You will learn to smell whether the ground keeps to itself. You will stop apologizing for the part of you that likes the edge. And when the time comes, you will pick us when the world says no. And if I do? Then you stand with him, he says, not jealous, not afraid, simply measuring. And you watch me take this place back from people who want to own what they don't understand. What if neither of you deserves it? I ask. He smiles, small and surrendered. Then we deserve each other. 12:55 a.m. he doesn't kiss me. He does something worse. He takes my hand, palm to palm, and lets me feel his pulse, steady, unashamed. Tomorrow, he says, we take a door together. Okay, I say, and I hate how much of me means it. He leaves like he arrived, step, shadow, gone. 12:59 a.m. I stand where he left me until the clock on the admin building flicks to 1:01. Then I whistle, a sharp blast that tears the quiet. Orca and Belly appear from the corner by the hedges like I summoned them. Orca grabs me by the shoulders. Belly counts my fingers as if I could have lost one without noticing. What did he do? Orca asks. He gave me nothing, I say, and everything. 1:08 a.m. in the room. None of us pretends to sleep. Belly pulls up a thread of posts from a campus forum no one uses, a decade old, where users named Wolfwatch 2014 and Bluejay talk about the janitor company that never cleans and the boy who smells like the woods. Bluejay posts a photo of a torn jacket sleeve, blood on concrete, time-stamped 3:12 a.m. Orca cross-references with bursar payouts, and finds an invoice paid that morning to Wolfpine memo. Emergency response. The pattern's old, Orca says, eyes bright with the thrill of the hunt. He didn't invent it, he just optimized it. It's a machine, Belly says, quiet. He's oil. 1:31 a.m. we write, leverage. The list looks like a curse. Kira, Noel, med logs, admin accounting, door footage, memory. We need hard currency, not just ghost pictures and our convictions. 1:47 a.m. My phone lights. Reynolds, you in? Alice, in. Reynolds, tomorrow noon. I'll show you where the money leaves the building. Bring Orca. Belly too if she wants to ruin her faith in spreadsheets. I show them. Belly groans like a soul in a Greek myth. Orca whispers, my time has come. 2:08. Sleep finally drags us by our ankles. I dream I am a door and both boys are knocking, but the knob is in my mouth. 8:44 a.m. Saturday. Reynolds picks the corner table in the cafe like he owns sunlight. He has a neat stack of receipts and 2 croissants that steam like mercy. Orca sits, already cracking knuckles at the thought of a data set. Belly unwraps a straw like it's a talisman. Reynolds walks us through it. Community outreach, files that at first glance are clean, a second glance are clever. He traces 4 years of flows. He shows how Wolfpine bills, consulting in spikes after known incidents, which now we know correlate to door activity. He shows how Griffin and Sons rents a closet at a strip mall that does not exist on Google Street View because it is a wall with a painted door. And the kids? Belly asks, voice small. Most come back, he says. Not as they were, some transfer for real, a few. He shakes his head, grief like a thin crack in porcelain. I don't know, I keep looking. Why you? Orca asks. He smiles like the answer is complicated, and he is trying to be simple for us. Because I was supposed to look away. He prints 3 photos from his folder. Kira, younger, hair longer, smiling like a dare. Noelle, bruised mouth, eyes laughing at a joke he didn't tell. Ben not smiling, watching the photographer watch him. They're standing with a man in a suit whose hand is on Ben's shoulder like ownership, not affection. The caption, donor reception, Wolfpine scholarship recipients. They were kids, Belly whispers. They still are, Reynolds says. It's just another costume. 9:27 a.m. we make a new plan. It feels like a wire pulled taut between 2 buildings, and I am the person in soft shoes taking the first step. Tonight midnight, Ben said. Take a door together. I will go. I will take the door. I will take his hand if that's what the scene requires. And on the other end, I will open it wide enough to let the truth spill out in front of witnesses who do not owe him anything. Leverage. The chapel bells are on a manual rope in a side room. Belly can ring them and bring half the campus out of bed if I text Bell. Orca will position at Med with her phone camera pointed at the hallway that always stays empty. Reynolds will stand by at the theater where the seam is bruised and watch for movement. If I whistle twice, he follows the sound. 11:03 a.m. I text Ben. Midnight where? He replies in less time than it takes a hummingbird to blink. Behind the stadium. Shoes, no questions. 11:57 p.m. The night feels like a sheet pulled tight across a messy bed. We split like a heist team. Orca melts into the Med building lobby plant as if the ficus adopted her. Belly hides in the chapel alcove with one hand on the bell rope and one on her phone. She's crying and smiling, and the combination is the purest human I've ever seen her. Reynolds texts in place, and then, a second later, don't be a martyr. I type promise and hope I am not lying. 12:01 a.m. I arrive at the stadium. Ben steps from nowhere, of course, like I went to a store and ordered Ben, and the night delivered exactly that. He looks at my shoes, at my hands, at my mouth. He nods, satisfied. Ready. As I'll ever be, I say. We cut down the gravel path to the seam by the railing. It breathes hard tonight, like something on the other side ran a long way and is leaning on the doorway to catch its breath. Ben lifts his hand. I feel the world tilt. Trust me, he says. It is a blade, that sentence. I take it by the handle, not the edge. Yes, I say, and every cell in me flinches and believes at the same time. He opens the door. It isn't a trapdoor with hinges and a welcome mat. It's a widening of a wrongness until a body can pass. Cold pours through like the air in a freezer when someone leaves it open. Shapes move, trees that aren't these trees, a field the color of a bruise, breath in my ears that isn't mine. He steps through, half astride, like a swimmer wading into a dark lake. He doesn't tug my hand, he offers it. I take it because this is the lie I remind myself, and also because my skin wants it the way mouths want water. Inside, the air tastes like coins and rain and peppermint bark left too long in a pocket. Sound goes sideways. I hear campus far away and a different campus nearer, one where the bleachers are broken and the track has teeth. Ben is steady as a metronome. Watch for the seam edge, he says, or it will slice you open. Walk where it thickens, see it, there. I do. I hate that I do. I love that I do. He leads, I follow, and then he stops. There, voice so low I feel it in his palm. A boy crouched beside a shadow stone, jeans torn, neck glistening with a wet that is too dark to be sweat. He looks up when we arrive, eyes blown wide with adrenaline and pain. Help, he says. It is present tense this time, not memory. Ben kneels, unspooling gauze like magic from a pocket. Hey, he murmurs, patient as a midnight ER nurse. You're okay, you're found. I kneel opposite. I press my hand to the boy's shoulder so he feels skin, not just competence. He's shaking, rabbit shaking, shock shaking. What's your name? I ask. Tom, he says, or Tom, or any sound that keeps me here. Ben looks at me over the bleeding and the work. This is why, he says. And for a second, I almost believe there is no other why. Then I see it, the slickness on the inside of the door frame like resin. Glue, Reynolds said. Wrong glue. A seal broken and mended and broken again. Someone is opening this place to create emergencies. Someone is profiting off the rescue. Bandage, Ben says. I pass it. My hands are steady. My heart is a jackhammer. In my pocket, the phone waits with one word loaded. Bell. I will ring it when we cross back, when light can see us. Up, Ben tells Tom. Lean on me. Tom leans. Ben takes weight like gravity applied for him. He glances at me. At the edge, the air pulls. Don't fight, pin your heels and let it do the work. We step. The seam resists and then lets go like a fingerprint lifted with tape. Cold thins to night cold. Sound reorients. The stadium is itself again. The bleachers are just bleachers. Med, Ben says, shouldering the boy. He looks at me and there's pride on his face. It hits me where I'm weakest. You were good. Don't be a martyr, Reynolds said. Be a liar, I tell myself, a good one. We move. Gravel crunches. Lights blink a rhythm. We'll take a side door in. We'll be the only three in the hall. The camera, if there is one, will be under maintenance. I know the choreography because it's been danced 100 nights. Not tonight. My thumb taps the screen. I send bell. There is a breath where nothing happens. Then the chapel bell rips the night in half. 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel them in my ribs. Windows ignite. Dorm doors open. Voices burst like startled birds. A security golf cart jerks awake and bumbles out into the walkway. Orca steps into the med lobby camera's frame and does not move. Reynolds texts on your 10. Ben freezes for half a second, the first time I've seen him subtract future from present to do math. His gaze hits my phone, my face. Something like amusement, dark, admiring, flares. Oh, he says softly, there you are. He does not drop Tom. He does not run. He adjusts. Of course he does. Fast, he says. Smile for the cameras, look like heroes. We cross the lobby into the light, and the lens and the world. And I smile like a girl who finally picked a side, even as my heart breaks for the boy I am going to kill. The chapel bell is still ringing. People pour out of dorms. Phones are up. Lights snap on. The air feels thin, like a sheet pulled too tight. Ben walks beside me with Tom leaning on his shoulder. He keeps his voice low. Keep your head. Smile. I am, I say. Don't tell me how to breathe. We roll Tom into med. Nurses rush him away. Cameras blink red. Paperwork will exist. That was the point. Kira jogs in, lips split, eyes sharp. 2 wolves in the west lot, she says. Maybe 3. Ben nods once. Go, he looks at me. With me. I nod. I chose this. I hate that I chose this. I chose this. We cut behind the stadium. Gravel crunches. The seam near the rail hums like a bad wire. Noel appears from the dark, sleeve torn, grin stubborn. Ready, he says. We reach the west lot. Headlights throw long shadows. 3 wolves pace between cars. Big, fast, hungry. They look at us like we are math. Ben lifts a hand. His voice is steady. Not here. One wolf flinches. Another growls. The third locks eyes with me. Its eyes are gold. I feel the seam tug at my back like a hand. Noel moves first. Left, he says. He darts in, baton snaps. The wolf yelps. Kira hits the second from the side. She is small and fast and angry. Edge, Ben says to me without looking. I've got it. I stand where the seam is thickest. I speak to it under my breath. Stay shut, not tonight. It tightens a little. It listens. I don't know why, I keep talking anyway. Students start crowding the curb. Some shout. Some film. Security rolls up, too late and too loud. A golf cart horn bleats like a sick bird. Reynolds comes down the hill. He does not run. He walks like the ground knows him. He glances at me once. Then he looks at the seam and hums a single note. It stiffens like fabric pulled smooth. Ben notices, his jaw ticks. For 1 second they look at each other. The look says, later. Then the lot moves again. Kira takes a hit, falls, rolls, pops up bleeding. Noel gets clipped in the ribs and laughs. It is not a happy laugh. Ben stays human. He moves like a decision. The third wolf pads closer to me, nose working. I keep my voice calm. I'm not food. I'm not your hunt. Go. It huffs. It is confused. It steps back. I breathe. Then another sound cuts the lot, tires, voices, more feet, people everywhere now. Dean Harridan in a robe, professors in slippers. Campus cops with radios. Lakeview jackets appear, 3 students, then 5, holding rope and iron rings. Reynolds lifts a hand. They spread out. Ben's voice slices the noise. Split, hold lines. No doors unless I say. Kira flashes 2 fingers, then 1. Their code. Noel nods. The wolves test the circle, then pull back. Something else is calling them. I do not like that thought. 12:14 a.m. We pivot away from the lot. We take the path by the theater. The iron sculpture sits like a cage. Inside its shadow the seam throbs. I taste metal. What now? I ask. Ben keeps walking. End the show. You mean stop the truth, I say. I mean stop the panic, he says. We reach the humanities steps. A crowd, phones, murmurs, expectation. Ben steps into the light. He raises both hands. He looks like a leader. He looks like a problem. Inside, he calls. We've got it. I hear my voice before I decide to speak. No. Heads turn. The word hangs there. I step up on the bottom stair. My hands shake, but I keep them at my sides. You open doors to make emergencies, I say, loud and clear. You bill the school to close them. Evidence, Ben asks. His tone is mild. His eyes are not. Orca moves in from the left. Papers stack high. Medical logs, midnight injuries. No paperwork, same night's Wolfpine invoices. Belly holds up her screen. A memory seam. We saw you drag a boy through. A ripple hits the crowd. Some gasp. Some nod like they always knew. Harridan pushes forward. She looks furious and afraid. Reynolds doesn't step up. He stands near the sculpture, one palm up toward the seam, keeping it small. Ben watches faces, not papers. He sees Kira. He sees Noel. He sees me. He gives a small laugh. Of course, he says, you made a stage. I do not blink. You made a business. The first howl from the field snaps everything. A deep sound, close, wolves on roofs answer. Lakeview kids tighten grips on rope. The crowd surges and shrinks at the same time. Lines, Ben says to his pack. Now. Kira and Noel move. 3 more of Ben's people melt in from the dark. Lakeview spreads opposite, steady and quiet. Reynolds doesn't look away from the seams. He sings under his breath. I feel a dozen small doors calm. The fight begins. Claws flash, rope snaps, iron rings clash on teeth. Someone screams, someone shouts a name. A wolf slams into a railing. The railing bends. A Lakeview girl plants her feet and sings a single clear note. A seam seals. Another opens 10 feet away. It's chaos, but there is a shape in it. I move with Ben because that is what he expects. I stay in his shadow. I mark the edges. I warn Kira when a seam tugs. I shout left at Noel. He pivots. He doesn't thank me. He keeps breathing. Good. Ben doesn't change. He keeps command. He keeps control. He keeps me close. Students keep filming. Faculty keep panicking. Dean Harridan yells into a radio and then throws the radio down and yells with her own voice instead. A wolf lunges at a Lakeview boy. Reynolds steps between, coat sleeve up, iron ring ready. He takes the hit on the ring. He doesn't flinch. He pushes the wolf off with a flat shove, not cruel, not gentle. Efficient. He looks at me for one beat. His eyes say, "Stay alive." I nod once. My eyes say, "I know what I'm doing. I hope I am not lying." Ben grabs my wrist and pulls me toward the humanities wall. We slip behind a pillar. The seam there is thin, a dark bruise. He leans in, breath warm. "Stay with me," he says. "I'm ending this." "How?" I ask. "Crowns end fights," he says. His mouth curves. It is not a kind smile. "Rule with me." "I don't want a crown," I say. "It bends," he says softly. "You can bend it back." "No," I say, but the word is weak. He lifts a hand like a coronation. He would make me queen right here, in the middle of blood and phones. The night roars around us. The seam at our backs trembles. I feel sick. I feel seen. I feel the plan I hate click into place. "Okay," I whisper, letting my eyes say yes. "Okay." He exhales. He believes me. I hate that he believes me. I step closer. My right hand slides into my pocket. My fingers find cold metal. The silver dagger Reynolds gave me. Last resort. A shout cuts the air, "Noel." Kira answers, "I'm here." I can hear her smile, even with blood in it. Ben touches my jaw with his knuckles. It is gentle. It is terrible. "You're like me," he says. "Hungry, brave, stop pretending." I lift my chin. I smile like I belong to him. I make sure he is very close. "Teach me," I whisper. "I am," he says. I move. I step into his space like I will kiss him. I bring my left hand up to his shoulder. I pull him nearer. My right hand comes up between us, low, quick, practice the way you practice a lie. "I'm sorry," I say. "For what?" His pupils blow wide. He thinks it's for wanting him. "For not being like you," I say, and I drive silver up under his ribs. His breath catches. His fingers clamp my wrist. He looks at my face. He understands in a single hard second. His mouth shapes one word. "Good." Then his knees fold. I hold his weight. I lower him down. I do not let his head hit the stone. Kira screams. Noel makes a broken sound. Lakeview stops singing for half a beat. The whole fight lurches. Blood runs hot across my knuckles. It is bright. It is real. It smells like iron and ending. Reynolds does not come to me. He keeps the seams from opening wide. He lets me stand in what I chose. "Stand down," Dean Harridan shouts. "Now." Her voice is a blade. People listen because there is nowhere else left to put their fear. Kira drops beside Ben. She presses her hands to his chest. She knows it is too late. She does it anyway. She looks up at me. Her face is fury and grief. "You," she says, one word. It holds hate. It holds thanks. It holds we will talk later. Noel staggers back against a car. He wipes his face with a shaking hand. He nods once at me. It is not forgiveness. It is not a threat. It is a mark. We are not done. Wolves sink to their haunches. Lakeview lowers rope. Students go quiet. Phones keep recording because that is what phones do. I stand up. My hands drip. The bell in my chest rings again. I do not fall, not yet. I take one step into open space, toward the front of the stairs. My voice comes out flat. It carries anyway. "It's over," I say. "Stop." The word spreads. People move, people freeze. Sirens cry far off. The night exhales. It sounds like a sob. Reynolds appears at my side at last. He does not touch me. He puts himself between me and the nearest seam. "I've got this," he says. "I know," I say. My voice shakes now. He hears it. He says nothing about it. He keeps standing. Kira and Noel lift Ben carefully. A tarp appears. Someone lays it under the oak by the chapel, the one with the lightning scar. They set him there. No speeches, no lies, just a flat, hard truth. It is the only clean thing left tonight. Lakeview kids start sealing the worst seams. One hums, one knots iron. One rubs rosemary oil along a line of shadow until it stops grabbing. Security throws tape up for show. Faculty herd students with words like inside and now. Some students go, some cannot move yet. Belly finds me. She looks at my hands. Are you hurt? No. She takes out a packet of wipes. She cleans my fingers one by one. She says nothing else. It is the kindest thing anyone has done for me in a year. Orca steps up on the bottom stair and turns to the crowd. Go to your rooms, she says. Drink water, stop posting. We'll meet on the quad at 8. Bring questions, get answers. People actually listen. They start to drift. Reynolds leans close. Walk. In a minute, I say. I need to tell the dean everything. Okay. He stays 3 feet away. He has a wall I can use if I need it. Dean Harridan strides over. Statement room, now. I nod. My legs start to work again. We cut under the stands. The night feels colder. Ben's blood has cooled on my skin. My hands shake so hard I hide them in my sleeves. We reach the admin door. Harridan holds it open. You're about to be very brave, she says, and very clear. I can do clear, I say. Brave is on a timer. She almost smiles. I have coffee. We go in. 12:52 a.m. A small conference room, bad lighting, a big jug of water, 2 campus cops, Dr. Phelps. The town's special incidents liaison arrives in steel-toed boots. She moves like a person who has done nights like this before. Harridan sits. She clicks a pen. Start at the bell. I tell them, flat, simple, no flourishes. We rang the bell to force witnesses. Ben brought a boy to med. Cameras saw it. We tracked rogues in the west lot. We held the seam. Lakeview came. Ben tried to crown me. I stabbed him with silver. He died fast. The fight stopped. Why you? The liaison asks. Calm, curious, not cruel. He trusted me, I say. That was the only window that would open. Dr. Phelps asks. Proof of the money loop. Orca slides copies across the table. Medical logs, bursar payouts, shell companies. Griffin and Sons is fake. Wolfpine paid Ben. Harridan breathes out. Okay, we face this. We don't hide. The liaison nods. I'll call the town. We seize accounts at noon. We secure med now. We bring outside auditors. Students get the truth at 8. Good, I say. I'm very tired. My voice still works. It feels like a miracle. 1:11 a.m. Kira stands in the doorway, blood on her sleeve, eyes red. Do you need my statement? Yes, Harridan says. Kira steps in. She speaks clearly. We protected. We also hid things. Ben pushed doors. He liked being the one with the key. We let him. That's on us. You'll testify, the liaison asks. Yes, Kira says. I'm done lying. Noel leans in behind her. I'll testify too, he says. He saved people. He also made sure we kept saving so no one would look up. Thank you, Harridan says, and she means it. 1:27 a.m. I sign my statement. My hand cramps. The campus cop takes the paper like it might bite him. He looks at me. You okay? No, I say, but I will be. He nods. Good answer. 1:41 a.m. We step back outside. The air is colder. The field is quiet. Wolves are gone. Lakeview is thinning out, leaving ropes and notes and a phone number on a sticky. Call if a seam breathes too loud. Reynolds is by the fountain with 2 croissants and a thermos. He lifts the thermos. Hot chocolate. Bless you, I say. We sit on the low wall. We drink. The sugar steadies me. He watches the seam near the book drop. He hums to it without thinking. It hums back smaller. I destroyed him, I say, plain. I know, he says. You stopped a machine. He wasn't only the machine, I say. I know, he says again. Both things are true. I stare at my cup. I hate being the person who could do it. You're the person who would do it so other people didn't have to, he says. That matters. I breathe. It hurts less after the third breath. 2:03 a.m. We walk, we check seams, we tell security where to light paths, we send students inside. We keep the night from growing teeth again. Belly texts, Med is calm. Orca texts, auditors on speed dial. Kira texts from an unknown number. I won't let anyone rewrite this. I save her number as Kira, loud. 2:29 a.m. We pass the oak. Ben lies under it. Kira has set his jacket over his chest. Noel sits on the curb, hands on his knees, eyes hollow. He doesn't look at me. He doesn't look away either. I stop 2 steps back. I'm sorry, I say. For destroying him, Noel asks. For how much it hurts, I say, and for how long it will. He huffs. Fair. 3:02 a.m. The town liaison brings 2 officers and a notebook. She walks Med with Dr. Phelps. She points to door frames. Cameras here, paper logs there, no more midnight transfers. Done, Dr. Phelps says. She's all edge and focus. I like her. 3:19 a.m. Harridan starts drafting the 8 a.m. address. Orca sits with her. They cut every soft word. They keep the real ones. Belly steals a stack of paper cups and writes water in Sharpie on each. Reynolds looks at me. Ruth. Soon, I say. I need 5 minutes. 3:33 a.m. I go to the humanities wall where it happened. I press my palm to the cold stone. I talk to the door seam. No more tonight, I say. Close. It stills. It listens. I don't know if it's me. I don't care. I take the stillness as a yes. 3:48 a.m. Back at the fountain, Reynolds holds out his hand without touching me. Ready now? Yes. We walk the long way, past the founder statue, past the dark library windows, past the sculpture cage, which is quiet for once. The campus looks like it is holding its breath without panic, just rest. 4:01 a.m. We climb the humanities stairs. We pass the wedge of wood in the roof door. Reynolds mutters. I'll fix this. Please, I say. I am tired of almost locked doors. We step onto the roof. Wind, cold, a faint hint of smoke still, but light is coming. The town is a gray shape. The moon is thin and pale, refusing to leave. Reynolds stands 1 safe foot from the edge. I stand beside him. He does not crowd me. He does not leave me. I speak first. Answer me simple. Okay. Are doors real? Yes. Are wolves real? Yes. Did Ben save people? Yes. Did he harm people? Yes. Was destroying him necessary? Yes, he swallows. I'm sorry it was you. I'm not, I say. I'm sorry it had to be anyone. He nods. We tell the truth at 8. We build something better at 9. I smile. It feels weird. It still works. Deal. 4:04 a.m. The wind bites. I shiver. He shrugs off his jacket and sets it on my shoulders. No look, no line, just warm fabric. I breathe into it. It smells like rosemary and soap. Thank you, I say. Always, he says. I look at the thin moon. I look at the town. I look at the place where the fight happened. My chest hurts. It is a good, clean hurt. It says I am still here. Reynolds speaks, quiet. You did the hardest part. I have to do the boring part next, I say. Budgets, meetings, rules. He smiles. I like boring. Boring stops monsters. We stand in silence. The edge of the sky goes lighter. The town is still asleep. We are not. We will sleep later. We will earn it. 4:06 a.m. A gull cries, a bus coughs awake. The chapel bell is quiet now. My phone buzzes. Belly, coffee run, roof in 15. Orca, bring jacket, Alice steals everything. I laugh once. It sounds like a normal person laughing. It scares me how good that feels. Reynolds tips his head toward the stairs. Walk you down. Not yet, I say. 1 more minute. We watch the sky brighten. The war is over. The truth is out. The crown fell. The door closed. I am tired. I am free. I turn toward him. Thank you for standing where I could find you. Thank you for finding me, he says. We go downstairs to face the day. 4:06 a.m. The stadium lights shut off. The field looks smaller. People are still in clusters, crying, whispering, staring at claw marks like they're trying to rename them. Orca finds me first. She squeezes my shoulders until my joints pop. You standing? Mostly. Belly steps in and hugs me hard. She smells like tears and bell rope. I brought water. I'll drink it, I do. My hands are steady enough to hold the cup. That feels like progress. Reynolds stands a few steps away, not crowding. He gives me a nod that means I'm here. I nod back, I know. Dean Harridan walks toward us in a coat over flannel pants. She looks like a principal who has seen too much detention and not enough sleep. Ms. Hart, she says, you, Ms. Lewis, and Ms. Patel inside. Statements. Then the quad at 8. Okay, I say, but first we need to anchor the story. Harridan squints. English. I point at the crowd. They're filling the blanks with guesses. We say 3 sentences now, clear ones. She considers, then. Do it. I step onto the bottom stair. I don't shout, I speak clean. Werewolves exist, the crowd hushes. Ben Hale led a pack that both protected us and hurt us. He opened doors and charged to close them. Tonight we ended that system. We will explain everything at 8 a.m. on the quad. Go home, get water, keep each other safe. A few students clap because they need to. A few cry harder because now they can. Phones dip. The knot of fear loosens just enough for people to move. Kira stands near the chapel path. There's dried blood on her sleeve and a flatness in her eyes I recognize from mirrors. Noelle is beside her, sleeve pinned, jaw clenched. We look at each other. No speeches. For now, that's right. 4:15 a.m. The clinic is chaos shifting toward order. Dr. Phelps barks assignments. A nurse says, tetanus, every 20 seconds. The special incidents liaison from town arrives in steel-toed boots and a calm that smells like coffee and paperwork. We're put in a small conference room. Fluorescent lights, water jug, legal pads, 2 campus cops who don't know where to put their hands. Harridan sits. She clicks her pen like a metronome. Start, she says. So we do, short, simple, true. I go first. We rang the bell to force witnesses. I walked doors with Ben. He wanted to crown me. I pretended to accept. I stabbed him with silver when he tried to make that permanent. The fight stopped. The liaison doesn't flinch. Why you? He trusted me, I say. It was the only way to end it fast. If I hesitated, more people would get hurt. Orca lays out papers. Medical logs, personal leave notes, dates, times. These match consulting invoices from Wolfpine LLC. Belly slides her phone across the table. Memory seam photo, she says. You can see Ben pulling a student through a door. This is why the logs show no fingerprints. Med never saw them come in the front. The liaison reads quickly, lips moving in a silent count. Okay, she says. We'll secure Med files. We'll freeze Wolfpine accounts by noon. We'll call the state auditor by 9. Harridan writes in block letters, 8 a.m. quad full statement. She underlines it twice. Anything else? Yes, I say. Lakeview. Reynolds leans on the doorframe. He speaks plainly. We're guardians, not wolves. We close doors. We don't own them. We'll help seal seams today and train a campus team this week. We won't run it. Students and staff will. Harridan stares at him, measuring. Fine, you're hired as a volunteer, she says dryly. Then to the cop, get me a PA system. 4:38 a.m. Kira steps in. She looks like she's been crying and refuses to admit it. You need my statement. Yes, the liaison says. Kira stands straight. Ben saved people. He also kept doors open to make himself necessary. I helped because I was scared and because he told me we were the only ones who could. I was wrong. She swallows. I'll testify. Noelle speaks from the doorway without entering. That feels right. I'll testify too. He taught me how to fight. He also taught me not to ask questions. I'm done with that. Thank you, Harridan says, and she means it. 4:51 a.m. We sign statements. It's boring, which feels like a luxury. Harridan pushes a mug toward me. Drink, then sleep never, she mutters. I almost smile. Dr. Phelps sticks her head in. Clinic is clean. Real logs from now on. If a student is injured at night, there will be paperwork in the morning. I'll die on that hill. Please don't, Belly says softly. We need you. 5:03 a.m. Outside again, air like cold cloth. The sculpture seam is quiet. The oak by the chapel holds a shape under a tarp. Kira stands beside it, head bowed. Noelle sits on the curb, elbows on knees. Reynolds waits with a thermos, and 3 croissants he probably conjured. Hot chocolate. I wrap my fingers around the cup. Thank you. We sit on the low fountain wall. He doesn't ask, "Are you okay?" He says. I'm here. I know, I answer. Then I force myself to say it. I destroyed someone I loved a little. He nods. He was both a person and a pattern, Reynolds says. Ending the pattern is the love that keeps. I hate that it was me, I say. He looks at the quiet campus. I hate that it had to be anyone. I'm glad it was someone who knew the cost. We drink. The sugar evens my breath. 5:17 a.m. We circle what's left of the night. Reynolds shows me seems like a teacher laying out alphabet blocks. That shadow at the book drop. Door if you stare wrong, don't stare. If it breathes, sing low, rosemary helps. The path by the stadium railing, thin. Close it every evening at dusk. Why is this campus so thin? I ask again, wanting the answer in public words. Cut trees a century ago, he says. A dorm fire 50 years back. A lightning strike 10 years ago. People pretend those moments don't echo. They do. Simple, clear. We pass the oak. I stop. Kira looks up. We hold each other's gaze. I step closer, but not too close. I'm sorry, I say, for how it happened, for how it feels. He chose the shape, she says. Her voice is rough but steady. You chose the stop. I'll live with both. If you want help closing doors without hurting people, I say, I'll teach you what I'm learning. I'll be loud about it, she says. Count on that. 5:29 a.m. Belly texts I have pastries. Roof. Orca PA system acquired. We're going full church. Reynolds tilts his head toward humanities. Roof. Yeah, I say. Roof. 5:34 a.m. We climb. We do not hurry. The wedge of wood in the roof door is still there like a joke. I am replacing this hinge, Reynolds says. Sexy, I say. Nothing's hotter than functional hardware. He laughs, a real one. I'll bring a drill on our second date. You skipped the part where you asked me on a first date, I say. I admired your fire the first night, he says, simple. I wanted you safe before I wanted you close. I still want both. I look at him for 3 heartbeats. Ask me after we sleep, I say. I'll say yes. Good, he says. 5:37 a.m. We step onto the roof. Wind, cold, a town waking by inches. The moon is a faint coin, still there but giving way. I need the truths lined up, for me as much as for later. Say it again, short. He does. Doors are real. This campus is thin. Ben's pack operated as security and used doors to create demand. Medical logs and money flows prove it. You ended it. The Lakeview network closes doors and trains locals. We help, we don't run it. Today we seal seams, audit accounts, and start a student team. You don't have to become a wolf to do this work. I breathe. Thank you, I say. That's the list. 5:41 a.m. The stairwell bangs open. Orca and Belly spill onto the roof with coffee and a bag that smells like butter and relief. Orca looks me up and down. You're alive. Good. I didn't make a plan C yet. Belly hands me a croissant. You eat or I cry. I tear it open. Steam lifts, I eat. I don't choke on my own feelings, that's progress too. We huddle in jackets and talk next steps like we're writing a group project brief. 8 a.m. quad, full statement, no euphemisms. Money, freeze Wolfbine, expose Griffin and Sons. Clinic, real logs always. Doors, map, seal, schedule checks. Teams, student, staff, sealing crew, trained by Lakeview, led by campus. Class, thin places 101 as an elective. Rules, history, safety. Memorial, chapel oak ceremony. Plant a grove for the old trees cut long ago. Amnesty, wolves who step forward and help close are protected. Those who exploit face consequences. Simple, clear, Orca says, writing it with a fat marker. Nobody gets to hide behind poetry. Belly bumps my shoulder. You okay? I will be, I say. Today we build boring systems. I love boring, she says. Boring keeps people alive. 5:52 a.m. The horizon turns pink. The town lifts its head. The moon fades to a smudge. I rest my weight against the safe foot from the ledge. Reynolds stands beside me. He doesn't touch me. He doesn't need to. I say one more thing for me. I'm not a queen, I say. I'm a builder. Good, Reynolds says. We need builders. We finish our coffee. We head for the stairs. Daylight meets us halfway. 7:42 a.m. The quad looks like a rally. Folding chairs, a portable PA, faculty in sensible coats, students in hoodies and blankets, town reporters at the back trying not to look like vultures with lanyards, someone taped over the welcome wolves. Pep banner so it now reads welcome all in block letters. It's crooked. It's perfect. Dean Harridan steps to the mic. No fuss, no preamble. Good morning, here is the truth. She says it like a ledger. Yes, werewolves exist. A pack operated here for years. They saved people. They also exploited our fear. They opened doors and billed us to close them through shell companies. We have documentation. Last night that system ended. We will fix what it broke. She waves Orca up. Orca holds a single page high so cameras can see. These are dates, invoices, and logs. There will be a public site with every document by tonight. Belly speaks into the second mic. We have proof of how doors were used to hide injuries and avoid the clinic. That stops now. The liaison takes a turn. The town is freezing Wolfbine accounts at noon. We're auditing contracts and protecting students who testify. If you have info, talk to us without fear. Dr. Phelps. The clinic will log every injury. No midnight transfers to nowhere. We staff nights. We file reports. Kira steps up, voice steady. We helped. We're done lying. Some of us will help close doors now. If you were in the pack and want to stop, come talk to me after this. No more shadows. Noelle follows, jaw hard. I was loyal to a person. I'm loyal to people now. If you're hurt or scared, I'll walk you to med myself. Reynolds. Lakeview closes doors. We don't own this place. We'll train a student staff team. We're here. Ask questions. Use us. Then it's me. I didn't plan to speak. Harridan tilts the mic toward me anyway. The quad waits. I use small words. My name is Alice. I learned what doors are this week. I learned I could be brave and still be honest. Last night I destroyed Ben Hale because no one else could stop him in that moment. He saved people and he hurt people. Both can be true. Today we build systems so one person never holds that much power again. Silence, not empty. Full. Then a wave of sound, applause, some cheers, some sobs, a few soft thank you-s. A reporter shouts, "Are students safe?" Harridan answers, "Safer than yesterday, safer tomorrow than today." Another, "Are werewolves welcome?" I answer, "Wolves who protect and don't exploit are part of this place. Wolves who exploit are not. Clear." We end with logistics. Sign-up sheets for the sealing team. Office hours with the liaison in the student center. A 7 p.m. vigil by the Oak. A campus-wide class sign-up link for Thin Places 101. A link to the docs. A hotline number, if Asim breathes, call. 8:29 a.m. People line up to hug Belly and argue with Orca and ask Reynolds if rosemary grows in shade. Kira takes names quietly. Noelle fetches water for a kid who looks faint. The world is moving in the right direction. A girl in a Lakeview hoodie tells me, "I didn't know, I'm sorry." "It's okay to learn late," I say. "Just don't stop." An adjunct professor says, "I thought this was metaphor." "Now you can teach the real thing," I tell him. He nods like someone who just got tenure in not lying. 9:06 a.m. We meet with Harridan, the liaison, Dr. Phelps, and 3 faculty who volunteered. The plan is the cleanest thing I've seen all week. Audit, outside firm, full read of contracts. Money, freeze Wolfbine, unwind Griffin and Sons, refund emergency fees into a public safety fund. Sealing team, 20 students, 6 staff, rotating shifts, training by Lakeview, stipends above board. Clinic, night nurse plus counselor every night. Logs posted daily, privacy protected, stats public. Policy, any special groups must be chartered. No off-book patrols. Any magical risk reported to sealing team and liaison. Curriculum, Thin Places 101 this term. Faculty lead with Lakeview guest sessions. Memorial, Chapel Oak ceremony. Plant a grove for the cut trees. Plaque that says exactly what happened, no soft words. Everyone signs. It's real. I feel a muscle unclench at the base of my skull. 10:12 a.m. We walk the campus with clipboards like camp counselors. We mark seams with chalk circles. We tape notes, door check AT dusk. Students follow with rosemary and iron nails. Someone brings donuts. This is what winning looks like, carbs and lists. Noelle falls into step beside me. "You're not going to forgive me for everything if I close doors for a month," he says. "No," I say. "I'm going to respect you for showing up every day anyway." "Fair," he says. He actually smiles. Kira takes the East Path crew. She looks lighter and more dangerous in a good way. "We'll do 3 loops before dusk," she says. "We'll do 6 if it rains." 11:37 a.m. We send a joint email. Subject, what happens next? It's short. "You're safe to go to class." Report seems. "Don't spread rumors, spread links." "Be kind in the dining hall. Some of us lost leaders last night." "Come to the Oak at 7 p.m., bring a candle. Bring honesty." No emoji, no fluff, it lands well. 12:22 p.m. We eat actual food. Belly falls asleep sitting up with a sandwich in her hand. Orca steals a fry and writes budget in mustard on a napkin. Reynolds nudges my foot under the table like we're in on a private joke called rest. He says, "Walk." I say, "Yes." 12:41 p.m. We circle the quad slow. Students pass. Some smile. Some pretend not to stare. The sun is thin but warm. He breaks the silence first. "I meant it," he says. "I admired you the first night. You were scared and curious at the same time. You moved anyway." "I liked that you didn't make rescue your whole personality," I say. "You stood where I could find you." "I'll keep doing that," he says. "You can also ask me out properly now," I say, smiling. He stops. He actually looks nervous, which is funny on his face. "Dinner," he says. "No doors, no emergencies, just food and us." "Yes," I say. We keep walking. Our shoulders touch once, then separate. It feels like a promise that knows how to give space. 1:18 p.m. We draft the vigil plan with Kira and Noelle. Simple words, clear ritual. We name what happened. We thank the people who acted. We read the list of systems we're building. We leave flowers at the Oak. We promise to do boring work in daylight. Kira says, "No speeches longer than a minute." "Agreed," I say. 8:04 p.m. I sleep for 40 minutes. I dream of closing windows. It feels good. 3:03 p.m. I wake to 3 texts. Mom, saw the news. Call when you can. Proud of you. Eat. The liaison, seizure complete. Accounts frozen. Orca, I found the Griffin and Sons office. It's a painted door. I'm sending the photo to the auditor with 12 aggressive adjectives. I text back, good, add a 13th adjective. 4:15 p.m. Reynolds and 2 Lakeview students teach the first ceiling mini class on the library steps. 10 of us kneel by a seam. He shows us hand placement, breath, the way light changes when a door relaxes. Kira demonstrates a patrol loop that doesn't escalate. Noelle shows how to stand near a seam without making it bigger. A freshman asks, is this dangerous? Yes, I say. So is crossing the street. We learn how to look. They nod. They stay. 6:39 p.m. Vigil time. The quad is full again, but quieter. Candles. Jackets. The oak shines in the last light. The plaque is covered with cloth for now. We'll unveil it later when words have edges that fit. Harridan opens. We tell the truth. We grieve. We build. Dr. Phelps reads the names of injured students who consented to be named. She reads the names of those who left for real. We keep silence for others we don't have words for yet. Kira steps up. We will keep you safe without owning you. Noelle. We will make amends with work. Belly rings a single soft note on a handbell. This is not alarm, she says. This is memory. I speak last. My voice is calm. We planted a grove today. We start a class next week. We built a team. If you need help at 2 a.m., you will find it. If you want to help at 2 p.m., we want you. I pause. We won last night. We win again every time we choose daylight. We lay flowers. We breathe. We go home. 8:03 p.m. Roof, the sky is clear. The moon is a thin pin still, stubborn and beautiful. The town is small in the best way. Reynolds stands with 2 mugs. Tea, he says. No adrenaline. We drink. The wind lifts my hair. He looks at me. Can I say something? Yes. You're brave, he says. Not because you fought, because you told the truth and then built the boring parts. Tell me you like boring one more time, I say, smiling. I'm collecting compliments. I like you, he says, simpler. From the first look on the hill. I like you, I say back. From the first stay away from shadows, even when I didn't listen. He offers his hand, not for a shake, not for drama, just a hold. I take it, warm, solid, human. We step 1 safe foot from the edge and look out. The town glows. The campus breathes. The moon hangs faint and silver in the morning that almost is, a promise that the dark will be back and we'll be ready. He asks, ready for dinner tomorrow. No doors, I swear. Yes, I say, and if a seam breathes, we'll make it wait. We stand there in the clean cold, side by side, the war behind us, the work ahead, and a soft new thing starting. The moon doesn't leave. It lingers, thin and sure, as if it wants to watch the beginning with us.